President Trump's recent focus on the need to bolster security in the Arctic is producing results.
NATO has launched a new military effort dubbed Arctic Sentry, aimed at improving security in the high north. The effort comes a month after President Trump ramped up tensions in the alliance with his threats to annex Greenland. Initially, Arctic Sentry will be the NATO label for national military exercises in the region, such as Denmark's Arctic Endurance and Norway's. NATO's role in this series of military activities, which will be coordinated through its U.S. headquarters in Virginia, is aimed at countering Russian and Chinese influence in the high north, which includes Greenland. I'm Karen Shamas.
The U.S.-based human rights activist news agency says a death toll from a crackdown over Iran's nationwide protests has reached at least 7,000, with many more people feared dead. The agency's proven accurate in counting deaths during previous unrest in Iran. News and analysis, townhall.com. More than 200 letters from World War II. They were found in a Tennessee home, offer a close look at love during wartime.
Ray Whitaker attended school at the Black Meharry Medical College in Nashville. There he met and dated another student, Jane Dean. They did lose contact for a time, but he wrote to her in 1942 saying that he was in the Army. Soon he was professing his love. A short 4 months later, they were married. Those letters from that courtship and early marriage have been donated to the Metro Nashville Archive. Several are now on display through the Nashville Public Library. Jason Walker reporting.
A Florida federal judge says President Trump's $10 billion lawsuit against the BBC can go to trial in 2027. Judge Roy K. Altman rejecting an attempt by Britain's national broadcaster to delay proceedings. Townhall.com.
It's the Michael Patrick Leahy Show, broadcasting live from downtown Nashville. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Good morning, and welcome to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. We are indeed broadcasting live from our studios in Nashville, Tennessee. In studio, the one, the only, the original all-star panelist, Crom Carmichael.
Greetings, kind sir.
Well, we have quite a day on tap this morning,
Yes,
Crom.
we do. Yes, we do.
It's time for the Morning Rundown, which is brought to you every day at this time by our friends at the Glock Store. We had Lenny McGill on the show yesterday.
Oh, what fun.
It was a lot of fun. Okay, so here we go. Here's the Morning Rundown for Thursday, February 12th, 2026. Number one, Crom, you'll like this with your historical bent. Happy birthday to three men long deceased, born on this day, February 12, 1809. Abraham Lincoln was born in Kentucky, 16th President of the United States, assassinated in 1865. Charles Darwin, born on this day, February 12, 1809, in England. He died in 1882. And my great-great-grandfather, Andrew Leahy, born in County Tipperary on this day in 1809, died in Hemingford, Quebec in 1872. So February 12th has always been one of my favorite days for that reason.
There you go.
Number two, Pam Bondi took it to the crazy Democrats in a House hearing yesterday. We'll talk a little bit about that, Crom, but it was performative on both sides. I think Pam got the best of the lefty Democrats. Number three, the Voter ID SAVE Act passed in the House of Representatives, now on to the Senate. Who knows what will happen there? Number four, here in Nashville, Crom, Nashville Electric Service, you know, the guys that left you out of power for almost 2 weeks, those guys, they have hired a bunch of rhino PR flaxen lobbyists to help the CEO and board keep their jobs. I mean, it is a long list. Crom, I think they're spending more money on lobbyists and crisis communication experts than they spend on tree trimming. Tom Pappert will talk about that in our second hour. Number five, legal expert Phil Klein will be joining us in the next segment. And I have some questions about the difference between detention and arrest. We saw that in the Nancy Guthrie case earlier this week. Number six, Marcia Blackburn will be with us in hour three. She'll talk about the SAVE Act and her grilling of the Verizon executives, you know, the ones that gave her phone records without her knowledge to the phony special prosecutor. Number seven, Aaron Gulbranson will be here in hour 3 to talk about what's going on in the Tennessee General Assembly. And number 8, another tranny killer, this time in Canada, murdered 9 people, a born boy, converted, transitioned to, quote, woman, and 18 years old, killed 9 people, and then killed himself. I tweeted that out, by the way. I used the term, another tranny mass shooter, and X restricted it for hate speech.
Interesting.
Yeah. We're going to talk to Elon about that.
No, that's it. That's
Yeah.
you know, the Canadian, the way they handle it in Canada, they called it a gun person.
Yeah, they called it a gun person.
Person. Not a
Canada
gun,
is lost.
Not a gunman, a gun person.
A gun person.
Yeah.
And on that note, Crom, that is the Morning Rundown, brought to you by our friends at the Glock Store. You know, we had Lenny McGill as a guest yesterday. Fascinating. Lenny said next year, when we have the 10th birthday of the Tennessee Star, we're going to have a party at the Glock Store. Isn't that going to be fun?
That will be fun.
That will be fun. So we'll have you there, and it'll be just great stuff. You know, they have now the latest Glocks, the Gen 6 Glocks. Lenny told me they have a new optic system, RTF6 texturing, and a large beaver tail, flat-face trigger, a trigger guard undercut, and an integrated thumb rest, also known as the gas pedal. Lenny knows what all those things are. I don't. I have a general understanding of the gas pedal. Lenny tells me the Gen 6 Glocks are definitely the most refined Glocks ever produced, and as you might expect, the Glock Store has already received their first shipment of Gen 6 G17s, G19s, and G45s, and Crom, they were literally gone before they even arrived at the warehouse. That's because the Glock Store is letting you pre-order these new Glocks, so you'll be one of the first to get your hands on one. As a thank you for your pre-order, you'll get an extra magazine when you receive your new Gen 6 Glock. Here's what you do, Crom. Go to glockstore.com, click on the Gen 6 tab at the top of the website, place your pre-order for the Glock or Glocks of your choice. When they ship your new Glock to the FFL of your choice, or you pick it up at the Glock Store retail showroom right here in Nashville, the Glock Store will throw in an extra magazine. This is a limited time offer, so act now. Visit glockstore.com today. I promise you'll be glad you did. So that party at the Glock Store a year from today.
There we go.
That'll be a lot of fun. 10th anniversary.
Yes.
Yeah. Crom, the Canadian government is crazy, and they've lost their minds.
Well, they're not alone.
I know.
This is a, along with this, you had the person who was 22 years old who successfully sued. This is a person who was angry that a psychiatrist had convinced her to transition, and as a 16-year-old, a doctor, a surgeon, removed her breasts on the advice of the psychiatrist, and she's 22, and now
she won $2 million.
She won $2 million
in a Westchester County, New York State court.
But there are dozens of other cases now, and so this question of trans and this the reason that I'm so concerned about it from all these incidences of violence is that I do believe that the psychotropic drugs and these hormone drugs, these are very, very powerful drugs.
Well, you know who has something,
and I think they're screwing up people's minds.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You know, who has something to say about that, Crom?
Who?
Matt Walsh.
Oh,
who
yes.
broke the story about the genital mutilation practice at Vanderbilt University.
Yeah.
That stopped that practice, and then really was behind the law here, where we stopped it here in Tennessee. It went to the Supreme Court. Here he is talking about the Canadian tranny killer.
Okay.
Clip 2.
If we look at the data, trans people account for more mass shootings than anyone per capita over the last couple of years. I don't even think it's close. And there's a reason for that. I mean, by definition, if you are a trans-identified person, then you are divorced from reality by definition, number one. Number two, you're radicalized because trans ideology is a radical ideology. So we know those two things going in. And then number three, I've said many times, and I think it's true, that trans ideology is basically defeated at a cultural and political level, which I think that it is. Now the fight continues. It's not like we can just put our feet up at the desk and call it a day. But it's basically defeated at those two levels. But what that means is that actually that's going to make trans-identified people potentially an even greater threat going forward, because now you've got a lot of people that were sold a lie, and now they're starting to realize that it was a lie, and society has moved on from them. And now, on top of everything else, on top of being radicalized, being self-destructive by definition, being confused, they're feeling humiliated and betrayed and, left behind. And I think we're going to see more and more people lashing out violently. And unfortunately, it's only going to get worse from here.
And Crom, what he didn't add there is what you talked about, the drugs.
Yeah, the drugs, these puberty blockers and hormone drugs. They are obviously they are extremely powerful drugs because they're taking your body. I mean, they're doing things to your body that are very, very unnatural, and so they have to be powerful. And it's impossible to believe that they can do all that to your body and not screw up your mind at the same time.
That's exactly it. Crom, when we come back, Phil Klein, professor of law at Liberty University, will join us. Back after this.
How much did you win at Rosie's Gaming Emporium?
Hi, I'm Jerry from Richmond. I won a $23,000 jackpot at Rosie's.
I'm Tammy. I'm from Newport News, and I just won a $5,400 jackpot from Rosie's.
Hi, my name is Kim, and I'm from West Virginia, and I won $99,000 jackpot at Rosie's.
Are you ready? Learn more about Rosie's rewards and jackpots at rosiesgaming.com. Must be 18 or older. Problem gambling? Call 1-888-532-3500.
Now more than ever, it's imperative to support companies that share our conservative values. That's why I can't be more excited to tell you that I've switched my family to Patriot Mobile. Patriot Mobile is America's only Christian conservative wireless provider. When you switch to Patriot Mobile, you shift your support away from the leftist, woke, progressive agendas of Big Mobile. Patriot Mobile's wireless service works perfectly and seamlessly as you go about your lives with exceptional nationwide coverage that uses the same towers the main carriers use. Patriot Mobile donates a portion of every dollar earned to causes you care about, to organizations that fight for religious freedom, First and Second Amendments, sanctity of life, and the needs of veterans and first responders. Patriot Mobile has plans to fit any budget, along with great discounts for our veterans and first responder heroes, as well as multi-line users. Switching is easy. Just go to patriotmobile.com/Godzilla or call their U.S.-based customer service team, 972-PATRIOT. That's 972-728-7468. Use offer code Godzilla for free activation.
What happens in Virginia doesn't stay in Virginia. It influences policy and policymakers nationwide. The VirginiaStar.com shines a light on the issues in VA that become issues for the USA, with insightful commentary that gets to the fact of the matter. The VirginiaStar.com is your source of wisdom and truth, locally, statewide, and nationally. Log on today and every day. The VirginiaStar.com. The VirginiaStar.com.
Do you have 3 ex-wives and your current trophy wife wants a life insurance policy 3 times the size of the policies you had to purchase for your previous mistakes? If so, you need to call Big Lou at Term Provider, 800-555-1509. Big Lou is intimately familiar with your problems, and if you're 50 or 60 years old and in reasonably good health, a $1 million policy should only cost about $100 to $200 per month. Big Lou may have a solution for your previous policies as well. You may even save enough money to lighten the load on your new $1 million policy. Remember, call Big Lou. He's like you, except he's only on number 2. Call Term Provider at 800-555-1509. That's 800-555-1509 for $1 million in term life insurance that you can live with. Call Big Lou at 800-555-1509. 800-555-1509.
I'm Lenny McGill, founder and CEO of Glockstore.com. For over 30 years, I've supported the Second Amendment rights of free men and women to protect themselves and their families with firearms. We offer the very best in both selection and prices on Glock handguns, custom Glocks, Glock magazines, and high-performance shooting accessories at Glockstore.com. We also have the finest retail showroom and our Shoot 270 shoot rooms right here in Nashville, Tennessee. Come visit us at Glockstore.com, and you'll be glad you did.
This is State Senator Mark Pody. Government is limited to what it is supposed to do. One of the things that is critical that we're supposed to be working on is transportation. Here in Middle Tennessee, our roads need more help. As your state senator, we are focused on getting more money reoccurring without a new tax increase for our roads here in Tennessee. This is State Senator Mark Pody.
Paid for by Campaign for Mark Pody, Christina Hibden, Treasurer.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
In studio, original All-Star panelist Crom Carmichael on our Zoom Newsmaker line right now. One of the great legal minds and legal experts in America, former Attorney General for the state of Kansas, now a professor of law at Liberty University, Phil Klein. Good morning, Phil.
Good morning, Michael.
We got to get your audio up there a little bit. So, Phil, I was been watching the news about, as everyone has, about the abduction of Savannah Guthrie's mother, Nancy Guthrie. And this is kind of out, it's not a civil issue, it's more of an issue of criminal procedure. The big story on Tuesday was that the FBI and the local sheriff there in Pima County had detained this fellow by the name of Carlos and detained him for a couple hours, asked some questions, and released him. Our question is, you people, I was reading in even in the New York Post, they got it wrong. They said he had been arrested. Tell our listeners, what's the difference between being detained and being arrested?
Well, for arrest, and first of all, in understanding all of this and how the courts will interpret the actions of law enforcement, it's important to recognize that the Fourth Amendment protects us against unreasonable search and seizure. Oftentimes, there's a lack of understanding of that word unreasonable. In other words, courts are going to look at the totality of the circumstances to determine whether this was a detention which can be based on reasonable suspicion that articulated facts that a crime might be occurring, or an arrest which requires a higher legal standard of probable cause and allows for detention as well as actually confinement until there's an opportunity for bail or something like that to prevent flight and so forth, where they are actually charged with a crime. And the court's going to look at several factors in determining whether this detention was actually an arrest. And here it wasn't. They're going to look to the time period in which he was detained, which was a couple of hours. Generally, detention is a limited period of time. They're going to look to whether things were confiscated. And here, his phone was confiscated and searched. That tends towards arrest and the requirement of probable cause, but it's not determinative. They're going to look at whether he was handcuffed or not. Here he was. That tends towards arrest, but again, it's not determinative. Mike, on the other side of the ledger are what the officers are investigating, and the court's going to consider that. They're investigating a violent crime and a missing person. In other words, their thorough investigation and actions to try to preserve life and prevent ongoing criminal activity allows them greater leeway in a detention. And the court's going to balance all of these factors in making a determination whether this was an unlawful arrest where there wasn't probable cause, or a legal detention where the lower standard is met of reasonable suspicion.
Phil, Carmichael has a question for you on that very topic. Crom is in the studio here.
Phil, what was the reasonable suspicion?
Well, I think there's a couple of things. They had just, and again, I'm not on the ground with the officers who detained them, and I've not seen that articulation by them. So this is just based on what we know from media reports. There was the recently released video. There was a claim of similarity. Now, understanding that the video had a masked person, there's additional material available to law enforcement. You know, the gait, the walk, the appearances, and so forth. Then there's the area in which he was detained, and in the nature of the crime. Those three factors, I think, can give law enforcement the ability to articulate to a court that this was a detention. Additionally, the fact that they released him without charges, and the fact that they were diligently investigating during the time that he was detained. Those factors tend towards a finding of reasonable suspicion.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because the press report was that it was a traffic stop. I haven't gotten total clarity on that. Typically, you know, when we study this in criminal procedure, Phil, as you know, this is called, I think the case was a Terry stop, where they have reasonable suspicion you're involved in a crime. They might stop your car, they see your taillights set out or something, and then if they look and they see something that looks like cocaine in your car, right, then they can detain you, but not necessarily arrest you. And when you're detained, it's against your will. But I think the limitation is, you know, like a couple hours. And if they don't have probable cause, they have to release you. Do you have that right, Professor?
Generally, time frame for detainment is tied to the totality of the circumstances, which includes the type of crime they're investigating. So it's not determinative by itself. But yes, you're going to pass on your final exam because of that analysis and the exigent circumstances. We don't know why he was stopped. And we don't know what it was when they approached him that set off the alarm that gave them reasonable suspicion or articulatable facts that there is a possibility of a crime occurring or ongoing, and evidence of that which will be found.
Is there now an investigation going on about that particular stop?
Well, not necessarily. I think what will happen, and I think what you mean by the question is, will this be challenged in court? Well, that's really up to the person who was detained.
Yeah,
whether
Carlos.
he wants to, whether he wants to claim that he was wrongfully detained in that stop. And I haven't seen
he
any
seems
indication.
to be kind of an excitable character. But also, Phil, it's interesting because I think I heard one report. He said he was traveling in Rio Rico, which is like 10 miles north of the Mexican border, 60 miles south of Tucson. He makes a living as a delivery driver, and apparently the police had records that he had delivered in the neighborhood of Nancy Guthrie, and that was part of the reasonable suspicion. But I heard him say he was driving in Rio Rico, and he looked behind, and the police were trailing him, so he pulled over and said, "Hey, why are you guys following me?" I saw that. I don't know what for sure, but
oh, I see. Okay.
But I don't know. I mean, they've been very circumspect, shall we say, about releasing details on it. I think they're going to, even if he were to bring a claim of false imprisonment based upon that, and if they didn't have a clear indication that there was some kind of taillights out or speeding. I don't think that they're going to have a problem in this.
Right. I with that explanation of the facts, I think they have a pretty strong argument for reasonable suspicion that he was known to have been in the area during the time that the crime had been committed. So those factors, I think, support this.
Now, related to that, while they were detaining him, they went to a judge and they got a warrant to search the house in which he was residing. And they went in and looked all around and got electronic stuff from that. To me, they're going to be looking at that electronic information, and I don't think the guy is totally off the hook yet. I think there may be more to come out on it, but we'll see. Your thoughts on that, Phil Klein?
Well, certainly, and that also supports the finding of reasonable suspicion. They were able to get an actual search warrant from a magistrate to go into his home, and to get that, they would have to have shown probable cause.
One last thing on this issue. There'd been the sheriff there, who is a Democrat, was slow to bring in the FBI, and he's been criticized for that. He'd said, well, we can't get any images. Well, they brought in the FBI, and the FBI went to Google, and they got the images. Any political angle here you see, Bill?
Well, I'm always hesitant to jump in the middle of an ongoing investigation and start calling the shots of who's doing what well or not. But I will say this. I helped establish the 3rd Cybercrimes Task Force in the nation, which was a joint Department of Justice and Kansas project. And yes, people need to know this technology is forever. You can take your computer, for example, you can cut out the hard drive, you can beat it to death, you can throw it in the ocean, and if we find it, we can get off of it what was there.
Well, that's very, very significant. Phil Klein, thank you so much for enlightening us on this detention versus arrest legal issue. Thanks for joining us, Phil.
Thank you.
We'll be back with Crom Carmichael. We're going to talk about fraud in New York, worse than Minnesota. Thank you, Zoran Mamdani. Back after this.
Now more than ever, it's imperative to support companies that share our conservative values. That's why I can't be more excited to tell you that I've switched my family to Patriot Mobile. Patriot Mobile is America's only Christian conservative wireless provider. When you switch to Patriot Mobile, you shift your support away from the leftist, woke, progressive agendas of Big Mobile. Patriot Mobile's wireless service works perfectly and seamlessly as you go about your lives with exceptional nationwide coverage that uses the same towers the main carriers use. Patriot Mobile donates a portion of every dollar earned to causes you care about, to organizations that fight for religious freedom, First and Second Amendments, sanctity of life, and the needs of veterans and first responders. Patriot Mobile has plans to fit any budget, along with great discounts for our veterans and first responder heroes, as well as multi-line users. Switching is easy. Just go to patriotmobile.com/Godzilla or call their U.S.-based customer service team, 972-PATRIOT. That's 972-728-7468. Use offer code Godzilla for free activation.
The math is simple. Every dollar we waste on unnecessary federal supervision is a dollar we can't use to fight violent crime. The Safer Supervision Act cuts bureaucratic waste and frees up law enforcement resources to protect families from serious threats. Law enforcement officers across the country and Republicans in Congress agree this is a smarter way to improve public safety. Stop the waste, protect our communities, fix federal supervision. Visit safersupervision.com to help. Paid for by the Reform Action Fund.
It's simple. No worker should ever be forced to pay money to a union boss just to get or keep a job. That's why hardworking Virginians overwhelmingly support right to work and agree that forced unionism is wrong. Unfortunately, right to work is under threat from radical state legislators who seek to overturn right to work and grant union bosses the power to have workers fired for refusing to pay union dues. Studies show that if they succeed in repealing Virginia's right to work law, it would cost the Commonwealth over 200,000 jobs. That's why it's vital to tell your legislators and Governor Abigail Spanberger to defend right to work in Virginia. With the General Assembly now in session, it's vital you make your voice heard today. Go to VirginiaRightToWork.com and demand your legislators and Governor Spanberger oppose forced unionism and protect right to work. Defend freedom and Virginia jobs today. Sign your petition at VirginiaRightToWork.com, paid for by the National Right to Work Committee.
1775 Coffee is giving away free starter kits. Try the dark or medium roast coffee with Longevity Blend, an infused blend with anti-aging calcium alpha-ketoglutarate, which has been clinically proven to reduce biological age. When you purchase the first 2 bags, you'll receive a free 1775 starter kit, including a third 16-ounce bag of coffee, a matte black tumbler, a frother, a gold scoop, or a reusable K-cup filter. Just order now at 1775coffee.com/Godzilla and claim your free 1775 starter kit while supplies last.
My fellow Americans, I have to tell you about my good friends at D.T. McCall & Sons. They have furniture and appliances and a lot more. They've been family-owned in Middle Tennessee for over 100 years, and they're not going to rip you off. No hidden charges, no delivery charges, no charges for all of the crazy things. These are sick people at the lumber yards. These are very sick people. They charge you for cords and hoses and haul off. They charge you for all of these things. They call them hidden charges. It's the type of surprise that you don't want to see. It's like an October surprise, but it's worse. D.T. McCall & Sons, they're not going to do that. They're great people. They're going to give you a great deal. With locations in Lebanon, Carthage, Lafayette, Cookeville, and Franklin, D.T. McCall & Sons will give you the deal of your life. Check them out today or go to dtmccalls.com.
Impersonator not endorsed by Donald Trump.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. In studio, the original all-star panelist, the one, the only, Crom Carmichael. Hello, Crom.
Hello, Michael.
Crom.
You know, that actually can be said about every one of us. That we are the one and only. Because we are all.
You know, that
unique.
also reminds me of the tagline from the late great Rush Limbaugh, who said, "Talent on loan from God."
Yeah.
And when he first said that, I thought, well, you know, but it's right.
It is right.
We all have
exactly
talent on loan from God.
Right. That's right. Whatever our talent is, it's on loan from God.
It's on loan from God. What a great turn of phrase that was.
Yep, that is.
Okay, Crom. So we're going to talk about, as our friend Sean Farash describes her, the bucktooth Botox bandit from Buffalo. That would be
Kathy Hochul,
the governor.
Yeah, but what I'm going to do, Michael,
of New York.
I'm going to take 3 or 4 issues that are related and try to combine them here and talk about.
Are you telling me you're going to do a weave?
I'm going.
Are you going to do a weave?
If that's what it is, that's.
Well, you know who's the champion weaver?
Who?
Donald Trump. He does a weave.
Well, he does. All right.
When he answers a question, he does a weave, and always comes back to the main point.
Well, this is really, you know, what you see now is that what I did was this: when the fraud in Minnesota became apparent, I did a very simple calculation. I went to the largest blue states, and I divided the population of each of those states into the amount of money that they spend on Medicaid.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I did to get a kind of an overview. And the top 5 states, Democrat blue states, spend about $4,000 on average for the number of citizens that they have. So that's not the number of eligible people for Medicaid. That's their total citizenry divided into the total amount of Medicaid, $4,000.
Mm-hmm.
The 5 largest red states, the number is $1,700. $1,700 per population.
Imagine that.
And so what you look at is you say, okay, what's the difference between the blue states and the red states? And what it is not is how much medical personnel are paid.
Mm-hmm.
Doctors and nurses are paid about the same on average in blue states as they do the 5 largest red states. And so therefore you have to assume or you have to then look and say, okay, well, what are the reasons? And the answer when you start digging into it is that the blue states encourage fraud. And they encourage fraud by allowing many hundreds of entities within those blue states to register and be licensed to be Medicaid providers,
Mm-hmm.
who then falsify invoices, submit the false invoices to the state, meaning that they falsify, claiming to have done work like delivering people from point A to point B who are eligible for those programs.
You mean instead of actually delivering people from point A to point B, what they do is they sit down at their computer.
Yeah.
And they write up a little statement.
Right.
And we move these people from here to there.
From point A to point B,
yeah.
and it's all networked because the point B is generally an entity that also is engaged in fraud, claiming that the person who was delivered there, who really wasn't, that they then provided services to the person who wasn't delivered, and then they then also submit an invoice. And so this is a way of monetizing federal money back to the states. And when the money comes back to the states, the largest share of the money is spent within the borders of the state. And so I look at it, Michael, as a way of coining money, because it's a way to
absolutely.
And so
you understand this, and we've been talking about this. The business model of the Democrat Party is fraud.
Yes, that's exactly right. In one form or another,
Yeah.
some is clearer than the other. And so at any rate, but what I'm trying to get at here is that then when these invoices are submitted, they're submitted at the state level, and then a state employee approves that invoice, pays it, and then asks the federal government for the federal government matching amount, which generally is at least 2 to 1. So every time the state spends $1, the federal government will give the state $2. So it's part of their business model.
So
what I'm saying is this also is related to the affordability issue, because all of this increasing money that comes into these states is inflationary. It drives up the cost of everything in the states. And so these blue states complain about affordability. They then turn around and blame it on Trump or conservative policies, limited government policies, when in fact it's exactly the opposite. Now, I want to take this a little bit farther, or a little bit further, and that is that I did a check, and I found out that members of Congress are allowed to contribute up to 5% of their pay into a 401k. And now remember, members of Congress are paid by the taxpayers. So you could say that 5%, while it is part of their salary, it is taxpayer dollars. But then the taxpayers actually match that 5%. And so a member of Congress can put in $8,000 and then have the taxpayers match that $8,000 for $16,000 a year into a 401k. Now, the reason I say that is that Democrats, I'm sure Democrats and probably most Republicans take advantage of that matching program. But Democrats want to keep the average working person, want to keep them beholden to government. And so rather than let average working people take part of their Social Security and put it into a private account, Democrats fight that particular policy like a tiger. And I want to talk about what that means, because if you take a two-income couple that each makes $50,000, that's $100,000. They're paying about $5,000, $4,000 to $5,000 as a family into Social Security on their half, and the employer is matching that. So if they were able to take the employee half and put that into a private IRA, here's what happens to $1,000. $1,000 invested a single time, 40 years later, if it grows without having to pay taxes, if it grows at the rate of 10%, which is the average rate of growth of the stock market over the last 40 years, that $1,000 would become $43,000. So if they were allowed to do $5,000, even if it was only a single time, that would become about $215,000. But if they did it every single year, then the average American over the course of 40 years would end up amassing a retirement program that is in their name of somewhere between $4 and $6 million.
Not bad.
And that would be the average person. And then they wouldn't be beholden to government. They would then encourage government to have policies so that their investments would grow and become more valuable.
Are you ready for the big question?
Please.
Does the rampant fraud in these government-funded programs in blue states, does this signal the failure of Richard Nixon's New Federalism? You remember that? Came out in the 70s, New Federalism. It was a political philosophy that aimed at giving power back to the states so they would start giving block grants from federal government to the states.
Well, if you gave a block grant, then there wouldn't be an incentive. So this money that's going back to the states is not block granted. It's matched. If the state spends $1, even if it wastes the $1, the federal government will contribute at least $2. In Obamacare, the government contributes $4. So the local governments only have to spend 20 cents of every dollar. And so if we did block grant, then in Tennessee, by the way, Tennessee requested that their Medicaid be block granted. We get block granted 7.9. I checked this. $7.9 billion a year. Our population is 7.7. So we spend a little bit over $1,000 per person, population on Medicaid. That's all we spend. Just think about this. New York spends $5,000, and they have a large population. So when people say, well, they say to me, well, Crom, this idea you have on Social Security, it'll blow up the deficit. I said 100% of what I'm talking about for Social Security, 100% could be paid for by the fraud that is going on in the blue states. 100% could be paid if we eliminate the fraud going on in the blue states.
For our listening audience and for me, the money that the feds give Minnesota, for instance, or New York State,
or California,
for fraud, are you saying it doesn't come in the form of a block grant? How does it come?
It's a matching. A block grant is this is how much you're going to get, not a penny more, not a penny less. That's a block grant. In the way that
what kind of grant is it that they get?
It's matching money. So if Minnesota spends $1, it tells the federal government I spent $1 on Medicaid, and the federal government will say, okay, well, yes, you have spent $1. Here's $2. So the more money that the state of Minnesota or New York or California or Illinois, any of these big blue states, the more money they spend, the more money they receive from the federal government. And they do that on these rideshare programs. They do that on Medicaid services. They do that on child care. They do that on autism programs. They do it on all these programs that are set up that have that are supposed to help people who really need it. But what they're really doing is these are entities that are being set up that don't help anybody, but claim to help hundreds or thousands.
Our friends at Grok say most major federal funding streams to the states involve categorical grants with matching requirements or open-ended reimbursement structures.
Right.
Block grants exist, but represent a small portion of total federal aid.
Right. And so what I'm saying is you have to apply for a block grant. Tennessee applied for a block grant.
When did we move from the new federalism of block grants to this matching requirement?
You're talking about as a nation?
Yeah.
It's always been non-block grant. You have to apply for a block grant.
You got to fix that, don't you think?
Yeah.
We'll have more with Crom Carmichael after this.
In 2008, the amount of concentrated time people could spend on a task without becoming distracted was 12 seconds. 5 years later, it was only 8 seconds, 1 second less than a goldfish. If you're often distracted or have trouble recalling information, you're likely to fall behind in the demanding, fast-paced 21st century. In other words, brain performance is more critical now than ever. Boost your brain power with Healthy Cells Focus Plus Recall. Science-backed nootropics to help you sharpen focus, concentrate longer, enhance recall, improve mental speed, learn rapidly, and be more alert. It's a pill-free brain supplement made with maximum absorption ingestible gel technology, designed to feed your brain at the cellular level. Take it for a test drive. Go to healthycell.com and use code GODZILLA for 20% off your first order of Focus Plus Recall. That's healthycell.com, code GODZILLA for 20% off.
They got a bill going up to allow casino gambling on your phone, not regulated.
They call it iGaming, and it's bad.
You put $10 in, it's gone. This is insane beyond belief.
Leads to loss of jobs, increased gambling addiction, putting families at risk.
How do you regulate it? How does the state tax it? Is it sponsored by the casinos?
No, this is another company that wants casino gambling on your phone in Virginia. Like my head is exploding.
Call 804-698-7400. Tell your senator vote no to iGaming.
I have no idea why Mamie Locke would introduce such a horrible bill.
This thing is probably going to pass if we don't stop it. Like my head is exploding.
Call 804-698-7400. Tell your senator vote no to iGaming. It's bad. Message paid for by the National Association Against iGaming.
Did you ever stop and think, why do the wealthy pay less taxes than we do? One reason, they take full advantage of the IRS tax code. Today's tax code is over 2 million pages. Who can read that? Remember the 2016 debate with Hillary Clinton? When asked why he doesn't pay more taxes, President Trump had the perfect answer. He said, if you don't like the current tax code, change it. I follow the very laws that you wrote. That's where Julio Gonzalez and his company, Tax Engineered Services, comes in. Julio's team looks at your taxes after they're done, but before you file them with the IRS. He doesn't get between you and your accountant. He reviews your taxes, makes his recommendations, and only gets 5 to 10% of what he saved you. No money up front, no cost. It's tax literacy for MAGA. He also sees what grants you may qualify for. For more information, text ETS to the number 26786. That's ETS to 26786. Text now.
Hey there, it's Lenny McGill, founder and CEO of GlockStore.com. For over 30 years, I've supported our Second Amendment rights with GlockStore.com, the world's #1 source for Glock handguns, parts, and accessories. I also support accurate, unbiased journalism like The Michael Patrick Leahy Show. His team broke the Kilmar Abrego Garcia traffic stop and was the first to obtain that video. Independent journalism at its finest. Visit us at GlockStore.com, listen to Michael Patrick Leahy, and make America great again.
This is State Senator Mark Pody. Government is limited to what it is supposed to do. One of the things that is critical that we're supposed to be working on is transportation. Here in Middle Tennessee, our roads need more help. As your state senator, we are focused on getting more money reoccurring without a new tax increase for our roads here in Tennessee. This is State Senator Mark Pody.
Paid for by Campaign for Mark Pody, Christina Hibden, Treasurer.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
And welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. In studio, the one, the only, original all-star panelist, Crom Carmichael. Good morning, Crom.
Greetings.
So, we were talking a little bit about fraud and government programs, federal government programs.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Oz, who's now the head of the Centers for Medicaid and Medicare Services, made a statement the other day. Before we get to that statement, what's the difference between Medicare and Medicaid?
Medicare is based on your age, and I believe, but I'm not 100% sure, that when you turn 65, you go on Medicare.
What you do is, if you don't have a private health insurance plan, you go on Medicare. You also have the option of you got to sign up for it at 65, and then if you go off private Medicare, health insurance, then there's different elements that you select.
Right.
For Medicare.
Right.
What's Medicaid?
Medicaid is income based.
Got it.
If you have lower income, I don't know exactly what the cutoffs are, and then Obamacare is something that is government subsidized health care for people who are not eligible exclusively for Medicaid.
Mm-hmm.
But all of them have to do with enormous overhead costs and enormous rules.
Mm-hmm.
And Dr. Oz, what caught my eye was Dr. Oz said that Medicare over the next 10 years, total spending on Medicare is going to double. Now, what that means is that if that's true, then Medicare will grow at 7.5% a year for the next 10 years.
That's a lot.
That is a huge amount, and the economy is not going to grow at 7.5%. If the economy grows at 5%, that would be absolutely outstanding.
You know, it's interesting. Donald Trump might disagree with you on that.
I understand what he said, and I hope he's right. But the point I'm
historically, the GDP growth has been what, 2-3%,
2.5% for the last 30 or 40 years.
Yeah.
Now, by the way, do I think the economy could grow at a much more rapid rate under the right policies? And the answer is yes.
Mm-hmm.
And in 26, I'm getting off point here just a bit.
Mm-hmm.
In 26 and 27, in the first part of 28. I think you're going to see substantial increases in economic growth, primarily because in the big beautiful bill, a lot of average income people, regular income people, and people on Social Security are going to be able to keep a lot more of their money.
Mm-hmm.
If you work on tips, you get to keep the first $25,000 of tips is not taxed. If you have a job where you get a considerable amount of overtime, the overtime pay is not taxed. And if you are on Social Security, your Social Security is not taxed until you're some like 300 or 400% of some number, so that it will affect about 80% of the people who are on on Social Security will benefit by tax cuts. Now, having said that, I'm going to go back to Medicare. I have a particular medical doctors. Under Medicare, medical doctors cannot treat a patient for 2 or 3 things on the same visit and then get reimbursed by Medicare for doing those 3 things. Medicare will only reimburse a doctor for doing one thing at a time. Now, what that means is this. Let's say I go into a doctor and I have 3 things that doctor can treat in 20 minutes. But the doctor's going to spend 10 minutes kind of getting everything organized.
Mm-hmm,
all right.
mm-hmm.
That doctor, in order to get reimbursed for each of the 3 things, can only serve me on one of those things and then set a new appointment
mm-hmm.
for the second one and then another appointment for the third. Now, if you had an HSA, if people had HSA account, and I asked the doctor, I said, why do you do it? He said, well, that's the only way that Medicare will reimburse me.
Mm.
And he said, that's the only way that Medicare will reimburse me.
So it's a system.
So it is the system. Now, if I said, well, that's not logical. And he says, I'm not the one who sets up the system. I just have to follow
And that's doctors have to work in the system.
I have to follow the rules.
Yeah.
Which is a lot like, by the way, it's a lot like talking heads in the media.
Mm-hmm.
They read the news, whether they agree with it or not. They read it to keep their jobs.
Mm-hmm.
Now, most of them agree with what they're reading, but in any event, they're going to say what they're told to say, and they're also told what they can't say. And doctors have who are treating a Medicare patient. I now know how those rules work, and if I had an HSA account. If senior citizens had an HSA account, then the standard doctor office visits would be far more cheaper and much less frequent. And the main point I'm trying to make here is that Medicare growing at 7.5% on average for the next 10 years is unsustainable because it's now such a large number.
Yeah. What's the fix?
That a double HSAs. The fix is HSAs. and you can do it over a period of time.
Is that practical to happen?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's when you say is it practical, politically it'd be very difficult.
That's the point, isn't it?
It'd be very difficult because, but I believe if you made it voluntary, then people would learn to. People would tell each other this is a whole lot better than the program you have now, because average people on Medicare are going to see the cost of Medicare go up a lot this year and next year.
Thanks so much for joining us today.
You betcha.
We'll see you next Thursday. Back with Tom Pappert. Trouble for Nashville Electric Service. The rhinos are trying to come to the rescue. What? Back after this.
Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason. Now that federal agents will be able to arrest criminal illegal aliens in Minnesota jails instead of having to chase them in the streets, Trump border czar Tom Homan says he is ending the large-scale immigration crackdown in Minnesota.
Arresting a public safety threat and the safety and security of a jail is safer for the alien, it's safer for the officer, and safer for the community. I think we all can agree on that.
Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison is testifying this morning on Capitol Hill, a Senate hearing focusing on immigration enforcement. A fiery Attorney General Bondi clashed with Democrat lawmakers during a contentious hearing on Capitol Hill. The issue, her handling of the Jeffrey Epstein case. Bondi says while the Biden administration sat on the Epstein files for 4 years, the Trump Justice Department has released millions of pages.
You sit here and you attack the president, and I am not going to have it. I'm not going to put up with it.
A combative Bondi slung insults as she faced questions about the Justice Department's handling of the Jeffrey Epstein files.
This guy has Trump derangement syndrome. He needs to get, you're a failed politician.
Bondi vigorously defended her department, but repeatedly refused to directly answer questions.
As Attorney General, you're siding with the perpetrators and you're ignoring the victims.
Greg Clugston, Washington.
As the San Francisco teacher strike drags on, the New York Post reports a teachers union is urging parents to refrain from homeschooling their children. The school district has provided parents with home study materials for their kids. Mexico sending 2 shiploads of humanitarian aid to Cuba as U.S. sanctions aggravate the communist island's energy crisis. On Wall Street, stocks are mixed. The Dow is up 36 points, while the Nasdaq trading 172 points lower. More on these stories, townhall.com.
Have you noticed losing weight is harder than it used to be? You're eating better and exercising, but the scale barely moves? The real problem isn't willpower, it's metabolic dysfunction. And standard dieting just makes it worse. PhD Weight Loss has helped thousands fix the root cause of stubborn weight. Take their free metabolic assessment at fixmyweightloss.com. Fixmyweightloss.com. It's quick, personalized, and shows why your body is resisting weight loss, so you know exactly what to fix. Visit fixmyweightloss.com. That's fixmyweightloss.com.
From Lionsgate and Kingdom Story Company.
I Can Only Imagine by Mercy Me, one of the most beloved songs of all time.
I mean, what did you think was going to happen? You're just going to ride off into the sunset? No more struggles or pain?
Comes the highly anticipated I Can Only Imagine 2.
God is in fire, and it is beautiful.
Imagine what God can do again. I Can Only Imagine 2. In theaters February 20th. Rated PG. Parental guidance suggested.
It is a strategy session for the EU.
European Union leaders are gathering in Belgium as the bloc argues over how to stand up to pressure from the US, China and Russia. German and Italian leaders are pushing deregulation, rebooted ties with Washington, and more trade deals. Speaking a day before the meeting, German Chancellor Friedrich Merz.
Overregulation in this European Union, on our European continent, hampers our economic growth.
France is pushing European preference to protect key industries and to steer defence spending towards EU arms makers. French President Emmanuel Macron has proposed issuing Eurobonds to help finance investment in key sectors.
Because if we are not able to be in the race with the US and China in the coming 5 years, we have no chance to deliver our agenda.
I'm Karen Chamas.
News and analysis at townhall.com. The FDA is refusing to consider Moderna's application for a new flu vaccine made with mRNA technology.
Synthetic mRNA is used to deliver instructions for producing a harmless piece of a virus to the immune system so it can learn to recognize and fight the real pathogen. It's been in use in laboratories for decades, but it sounds enough like science fiction. It remains in disfavor among many, including Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. The FDA sent Moderna a refuse to file letter complaining that during clinical trials, the company failed to compare the new shot to the best available standard of care. Bob Agnew reporting.
Could be trouble on the horizon. The Congressional Budget Office is projecting worsening federal deficits and rising debt over the coming decade. The skyrocketing debt driven by increased spending on Social Security, Medicare, and debt service payments. More on these stories, townhall.com.
It's the Michael Patrick Leahy Show, broadcasting live from downtown Nashville. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
We are joined on our Zoom newsmaker line right now by a Dow Prize Award winner, Tom Pappert. Got the Dow Prize for Best Local Journalism in the country, along with yours truly and Christina Botteri. Well, we've got some local journalism stories. You're, again, breaking news that no one else in Tennessee is reporting. Our lead story right now, records confirm National Electric Service hired former Chief of Staff to Governor Bill Haslam as a new lobbyist amid calls for firing after the winter storm. Let's just go back to what National Electric Service did and what they're not doing. During this winter storm, Fern, 232,000 out of 470,000 customers were out of power for a period of time. It took them 2 weeks to fully restore it. They did not prepare. They didn't cut the trees. They didn't have the linemen. It was a complete and utter debacle. And you've been asking them lots of questions about how much money they spent on tree trimming, how they prepared for this. How many answers have you received from National Electric Service on any of that, Tom?
Well, Michael, they do respond to my inquiries, but they generally say, we're working on getting you an answer and we will get back to you. I would say we've gotten maybe one genuine response from them since the winter storm hit.
Yeah, and we've asked them like 70 questions, 75 questions. And again, they don't attach a name to it. It's an AI bot, I think. Who knows, right? So their answer, instead of to basically fess up and admit they didn't trim enough trees in a timely manner. They didn't hire enough linemen. The answer is instead to obfuscate and then hire a big array of rhino consultants. And I think it's up to 5 or 6 now. Consultants, lobbyists, crisis management firms. You broke a story yesterday about the latest rhino lobbyist they've hired. Tell us who it is and how we know he was hired by NES to lobby the Tennessee General Assembly.
Well, Michael, I'll start by saying, fortunately, in the state of Tennessee, lobbyists who are seeking to lobby the state, the governor, various state agencies, they must go and register with the state of Tennessee within 7 days of entering a contract. So we now know that Mark Cate of a group called the Stones River Group, former chief of staff to Governor Bill Haslam, is the newest lobbyist to be publicly registered as representing the Nashville Electric Service. But what we've heard is that there are several more that are going to follow. So we've been refreshing this lobbyist registration page and seeing exactly how many are going to line up. And if you look at this person, I mean, it does seem as though NES, somebody there, has some brain cells to rub together because they received a lot of bad press for their commitment to DEI, their $7 million cut to tree trimming, the fact that they were recommended to extend the contract for a DEI consultant about 4 days after the winter storm hit last month. So naturally, it seems logical that they would go to consultants like Mark Cate, former chief of staff to Bill Haslam. We've also heard of various other Republican sort of rhino consultants in Tennessee that they're going to. And I'm sure, this is my opinion, that the goal here is to convince the General Assembly not to listen to Marsha Blackburn, not to listen to U.S. Representative Andy Ogles, and instead to let the Metro Council decide the future of the Nashville Electric Service.
Well, yeah, and the Metro Council actually could fire the board members. There are 5 board members. It's all the Nashville Electric Service Social Club, right? These are all very politically connected people who don't know a lot about utilities, but are politically connected. We can go down the list. What Delta Ann Davis, the big lefty environmentalist, professor of law at Vanderbilt, the wife of former Mayor Carl Dean. She's the chairman of the board. She's come out and said, I'm 100% behind the hyphenated Teresa Broyles Applin, the person who has misled the public about how much money they've actually spent on tree trimming. Remember the famous, the budget's gone up for 4 consecutive years, except actual expenditures have gone down. And she forgot about that memo, that red alert memo in November of this year saying, we're way behind on tree trimming. We did get an admission from the chief operating officer there, this Brent, whatever his name is, who said...
Brent Baker.
Yeah. He said, he told Metro Nashville Council the other night, we knew the storm was coming, but we did not accelerate our tree trimming efforts before the storm. Hello? How?
Well, he acknowledged that. He also, Michael, admitted that they didn't have the vegetation management crews necessary, which is something that we've been reporting, and frankly, even some of the local competition has been reporting, that they had linemen reported to be sitting in parking lots waiting for permission to move ahead, but technically deployed in the field. So they had like 1,500 linemen, but they didn't have enough vegetation crews to clear and cut the path for them. It was a total and utter mismanaged catastrophe, and now they're being forced to admit it.
Well, except they're withholding information. I mean, they're literally, we're going to have to file a public records request, which they will deny. We're going to have to sue them again. By the way, we have a pretty good record in courts. It just takes longer. We'll get all this information. The key, on the tree trimming thing, we've simply asked them, okay, your budget in fiscal 2026, which began in July 1st of 25 and ends June 30th, your budget for tree trimming expenditures is $21 million. How much did you actually spend on it in the first 6 months of that fiscal year? Crickets. I mean, they know what that number is. They're withholding it from us intentionally because I think the answer is very embarrassing to them.
Well, that's probably right. And frankly, it does go speak to the incompetence of the entire operation if they are not just hiding this information, because people have been asking about this since literally days after the storm hit. In every public event, they get more questions about it. And every few days, we send another email, and they really do seem to act like it's the first time. So at this point, 3 weeks after almost, for them not to have this basic information, it's a bit rich, and it strains credulity. But maybe these new consultants they have can help them dig through the paperwork, dig through their books, and get us some answers.
That is not what they're going to do. They are going to obfuscate and kind of present facts in a certain way that basically excuses all the incompetence. That's what they're going to do. And go down the list. Okay, Mark Kate has been hired. And Purple Strategies, we believe, the guys that did the crisis management for the Deepwater Horizon Gulf of America blowout of oil back in 2010. We've got reports they've been hired. Blake Harris, the former chief of staff of Governor Leahy, has been hired, according to reports, to handle crisis communications as well. And then Finn Partners is getting $3 million a year. $3 million a year to handle communications. But apparently they have the crisis communications they've been doing pro bono. Who else? Oh, we've got a confirmation that another consultant, Joe Hall, has been hired, and I think he was involved in promoting the giveaway of taxpayer money for the Titan Stadium. This is basically a political good old boy lefty network, it seems to me. Your thoughts on that in the final minute of this segment, Tom?
That's correct, except I would say that if we are able to confirm their connection to Purple Strategies, it seems maybe this is their attempt to court the Democrats. We've got some preliminary information indicating that the specific account representative they've got from Purple Strategies, national PR company, is a huge Democrat, used to work for the Senate Democrats, used to work for John Ossoff and some other far left people. So it will be very interesting to find out if they're also paying this company.
When we come back, a bipartisan resolution from a far left member of Metro Council and the only, Republican, Courtney Johnson, they want to fire the CEO of NES. Back with Tom Pappert after this.
Ponder this. Do you work you do each day? Some of us love our jobs. Others will not so much. Whether you are a person who teaches school, digs ditches, or runs a Fortune 500 company, the work we do has dignity, all of it. You see, Jesus Christ grew up in a relatively normal household. His mother Mary cared for the home, and his earthly father Joseph worked as a carpenter. There was nothing particularly exceptional about their daily home life. This model Holy Family performed all work with love, knowing they were doing the will of God each day. Doing routine tasks like caring for your family, doing domestic chores, are particularly virtuous if done with love and joy. To accomplish every task assigned to you to the very best of your ability pleases the Lord. The Lord does not need you to bring home a big paycheck, climb the ladder of success, or have a stellar resume. He just wants you to love Him, love your family, and love your neighbor. Give to God your work. It is a great way to praise Him. I'm Susie Kelly, and I am passionately Catholic.
Hey folks, Al Green here for SatPhone. When you're on the go, you want to know you're connected. If it's a family vacation or an off-the-grid escape to a remote destination, having reliable communication helps you feel safe and secure. You can't afford to find yourself in a dead zone. That's why you need SatPhone. SatPhones are reliable, durable, and give you global coverage. If you can get outside, you can get in touch. It's that simple. Make calls from your SatPhone to any regular cell phone in the United States. The phones are a $1,500 value, but you can get yours free. Just sign up for a 15-month plan, $94.95 a month. Get 150 minutes monthly that roll to the next month. Go 3 months without using them, that's fine. Yes, 3 months, 450 minutes, all yours. Visit SAT123.com or call 855-980-5830. SAT123.com, 855-980-5830. Get surety and security with your SatPhone. Call now.
The math is simple. Every dollar we waste on unnecessary federal supervision is a dollar we can't use to fight violent crime. The Safer Supervision Act cuts bureaucratic waste and frees up law enforcement resources to protect families from serious threats. Law enforcement officers across the country and Republicans in Congress agree this is a smarter way to improve public safety. Stop the waste, protect our communities, fix federal supervision. Visit safersupervision.com to help. Paid for by the Reform Action Fund.
The Cats and Cosby Show.
It's a common sense recap of the big stories.
It's not that all Somalis are criminal. It's just that 90% of these crimes are being committed by Somali Americans. And if you came to this country and you took advantage of the Americans' generosity, you committed fraud, and you refused to assimilate, you know what? I got 4 words for you. Get the hell out.
Cats and Cosby, 5 Eastern, 4 Central on the John Fredericks Media Network.
The book needs to be thrown at these people.
I'm Lenny McGill, founder and CEO of Glockstore.com. For over 30 years, I've supported the Second Amendment rights of free men and women to protect themselves and their families with firearms. We offer the very best in both selection and prices on Glock handguns, custom Glocks, Glock magazines, and high-performance shooting accessories at Glockstore.com. We also have the finest retail showroom and our Shoot 270 shoot rooms right here in Nashville, Tennessee. Come visit us at Glockstore.com, and you'll be glad you did.
This is State Senator Mark Pody. Government is limited to what it is supposed to do. One of the things that is critical that we're supposed to be working on is transportation. Here in Middle Tennessee, our roads need more help. As your state senator, we are focused on getting more money reoccurring without a new tax increase for our roads here in Tennessee. This is State Senator Mark Pody.
Paid for by Campaign for Mark Pody, Christina Hibden, Treasurer.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Welcome back. Tom Pappert, a Dow Prize Award winner and our lead political reporter at the Tennessee Star and the Star News Network. Okay, so a resolution was filed in Nashville Metro Council by the two opposites are co-sponsoring this resolution to fire, telling the board of National Electric Service to fire Teresa Broyles-Applin on the probably one of the most conservative members. I say that, most conservative. One of the least
conservative
liberal.
For Nashville.
Yeah, one of the least liberal members of the board, Courtney Johnston, who ran for the Republican nomination for District 5 in the U.S. House and lost against Andy Ogles. She's a sponsor of this, as is Emily Benedict, who is very much a far left member of the council, but has a good reputation for constituent service. They have filed this resolution telling that National Electric Service Board to fire Teresa Broyles-Applin. The council can fire the board members. Freddie O'Connell says it needs to be a unanimous vote. I don't think so. I think it needs to be, I think it's like 2/3 or 3/4. But a lot of Metro Council members are unhappy. Then we've got this weird sort of change of tone from the Metro Nashville board members who have gone off, or the NES board members, rather, who have initiated yet another study, an after-action report. Their after-action report is going to be 90 days. Mayor Freddie O'Connell has this after-action report. It's going to take a year. It's going to have 7 political hacks and 2 members of the Metro Council on it. What do you make of all this, Tom Pappert?
I do think the resolution is interesting, and I don't think it would have come in a vacuum. In other words, it seems to me the board realizes something is going to have to change, and perhaps everyone is looking at this unfortunate CEO, Teresa Broyles-Applin, as the person who's going to take the fall. It would not surprise me at all to see her sort of become a sacrificial lamb. Remember, this is a woman who doesn't have any experience directly in energy. I say directly. She used to be the CFO for NES for many years, but before working in that role and in various other financial roles at the power company, she worked at like a nursing home. And previous to that, she worked in other accounting jobs. So I do think that perhaps the board has found their solution here, replace the CEO. But the problem, I maintain, is not just the CEO, it is the board that selected her a few years ago, and the board chairman, who, as you mentioned in the last segment, said just days ago that she continues to have full faith in Broyles Applin. So I think that Andy Ogles is correct. I think the ultimate solution here should be that the constituents, the customers outside of the city of Nashville, get to have a say, and that probably means changing how the board is constituted, changing who gets to appoint members, and hopefully changing the way to remove members. Because you're right, I don't know where the mayor, Freddie O'Connell, Fidel Freddie, got that information. If you look it up in the black and white, it says a supermajority vote. That would mean 30 out of 40 votes on the Metro Council, still a high bar to reach.
Yeah, I think it'd be hard to get to 30, right? I mean, you could get to maybe 10 or 15. I don't know if you get to 30 because, of course, you know, of the members of Nashville Metro Council, most of them are insane leftists who don't have any common sense, the vast majority. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about this. I'm going to say something nice about Teresa Broyles Applin, which is, you know, she was appointed to be the CEO back in 2022 by the board. She had served like 10 to 12 years as the CFO. And she's got a strong accounting background. Everything I heard is from various sources who worked with her at the time is she did a good job as the CFO. I will tell you, though, being the CEO is a very different skill set than being the CFO. And you know, we've heard of the Peter principle. Clearly, you know, she was promoted and has been promoted to her level of incompetence, it would seem to me, right? But also she's got that lefty twinge to it, all the DEI stuff that apparently is still going on. I will criticize her operation as a CEO. She's not being straightforward. She's not being transparent. She's not sharing what she should share with all of us. And that is disqualifying in my view. Your thoughts on this, Tom Pappert?
I do sort of question that she was such a great CFO. I mean, again, it all goes back to the $7 million. Their annual report says they cut $7 million. She's claiming they did not. So did she not look at the annual report? Is she conflating the budget in a report? And how on earth can an accountant be the one making these apparent mistakes and contradictions? It's very confusing. I do think that she probably is very good at accounting, though. She, of course, has, I think, an MBA. She has her undoubtedly has a very good education, probably still kept her CPA license despite being the CEO. Maybe she should go back to that role or perhaps go back to the healthcare industry.
Yeah, but she's kind of dug in, right? And all of this hiring of all these PR flacks and not answering our legitimate questions about their operations and their finances, that's what you call a red flag, right? It is interesting on the 5 members of the board. So we had Delta Ann Davis, the lefty environmentalist who's a professor of law at Vanderbilt. She said, well, we need to do this after action report. You could see this possibly being cover to fire Teresa Broyles Applin. Could be that. But I think you're right. These are the wrong people on the board. Absolutely the wrong people. You know, she doesn't know anything about utility operations. She's ideological. She's a leftist. You got the head of the Urban League. He doesn't know anything about utilities. And then you've got Rob McCabe, who is the step brother-in-law of former Governor Haslam, and who knows stuff about business, but seems not to want to rock the boat. You know, also, the other thing that seems to me, why would you want to be on the board of National Electric Service? It is unpaid. It seems to me this is about being in the insider power social club. That's what it seems like to me. Your thoughts, Tom Pappert?
I think that's a big part of it, though I do also think it's an opportunity to push what may be radical political views. For example, I'm talking about Delta Ann Davis right now, former wife of former Mayor current wife of former Mayor Dean.
I've done that too, by the way.
So deep apologies for that. That's not what I meant to say. But she is the former attorney for the Southern Environmental Law Center. From 2011 till 2017, she operated the SELC's Nashville office. This is the group, by the way, that is either currently in the process of suing or has threatened to sue Elon Musk's XAI in Memphis, claiming that they're poisoning the air. There's no evidence to this, by the way. We've done reviews at the Tennessee Star. So perhaps Delta Ann Davis thinks that she wants to join the board, not so much because it's a social club for Democrats in the city, but because she wants to push her green energy agenda.
Yeah, I think that's probably right. I think really the broader question is this. National Electric Service is a monopoly, basically owned and operated by Metro Nashville with that 5-member board. That, I think, is the wrong structure because it leads to bureaucratic disinterest in actually doing the job. The right structure would be a member-owned electric utility cooperative like Middle Tennessee Electric, which did a great job on this. I think ultimately the Tennessee General Assembly right now is going to look at this and say, we need to get rid of that charter, take it out of the hands of Metro Nashville government, which is a disaster, and create a cooperative member-owned electric utility, and that will be far more responsive. I think that's where this ultimately may be going. Your thoughts on that, Tom Pappert?
I think so, Michael. I think we've seen some early indications. Cameron Sexton said last week, of course, that the General Assembly is considering its options with the view that the NES board cannot remain the same. I do think it will be interesting to see what role these lobbyists have, not to discount the Tennessee General Assembly, but these are folks that are going to come in with persuasive arguments, and they're probably going to say things like, if you don't allow the status quo to continue, then Nashville will dissolve as we know it. I mean, that's how lobbyists tend to go. They bring a catastrophized version of events. So I am hoping that the General Assembly will be able to, some of our Republican leaders will be able to talk these lobbyists down and help them understand that there is going to be change after 230,000 people lose power. Thousands remain without power for 2 weeks.
Tom Pappert, thanks for that outstanding analysis. And I guess there's going to be you're going to interview the mayor of Laverne, which who wants to get out of this thing. So well done. Tom, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, Michael. Always a pleasure.
All right. We'll be back with more. Pam Bondi took it to the Democrats in the House yesterday. Back with this.
This is Crom Carmichael, CEO of Solti. We got a wonderful email from one of our customers up east named Joe, and here's what he had to say. I started taking Solti almost out of desperation with little hope because I was resigned to the futility that although I was up to taking 2 statins a day, high cholesterol was something I just had to learn to live with. In fact, when I turned 60, after taking a stress cardio test, my doctor called me on a Saturday, which of course is never a good sign, and told me that I was clogged more than 95% of the people my age. I had an angioplasty and a stent procedure done at that time. Today, my stubborn triglycerides are only 1/3 of what they had been before starting taking Solti. My prescription statin dosage has shrunk from 60 milligrams to only 10 milligrams a day. My primary care doctor that I have had for many years still can't believe the results, and neither can I. Thank you, Solti, for providing such a wonderful product. And folks, I want to invite you to take care of your heart also by going to GodzillaHeart.com. That's GodzillaHeart.com. Use the code Godzilla at checkout, and you'll get a 50% discount on your initial shipment. Thanks so much.
Each of us is born with 30 trillion cells that make us. These cells determine how we feel, perform, sleep, focus, and how long we live. And to live our best life, all we have to do is feed our cells properly. But most supplements don't reach our cells, keeping us from reaching our full potential. Make every cell count with Healthy Cell. Founded with a mission to empower people to take control of their own health at the most fundamental level, the cell. Dr. Vincent Giampapa, world-renowned cell researcher and medical doctor, created supplements that work at the cellular level to support immune health, better sleep, sharper focus, and healthy aging. Go to healthycell.com and use code GODZILLA for 20% off your first order of any product. That's healthycell.com, HEALTHYCELL, and use code GODZILLA for 20% off.
How much did you win at Rosie's Gaming Emporium?
Hi, I'm Jerry from Richmond. I won a $23,000 jackpot at Rosie's.
I'm Tammy. I'm from Newport News, and I just won a $5,400 jackpot from Rosie's.
Hi, my name is Kim, and I'm from West Virginia, and I won $99,000 jackpot at Rosie's.
Are you ready? Learn more about Rosie's rewards and jackpots at rosiesgaming.com. Must be 18 or older. Problem gambling? Call 1-888-532-3500.
The Cats and Cosby Show.
It's a common sense recap of the big stories.
It's not that all Somalis are criminal. It's just that 90% of these crimes are being committed by Somali Americans. And if you came to this country and you took advantage of the Americans' generosity, you committed fraud, and you refused to assimilate, you know what? I got 4 words for you. Get the hell out.
Cats and Cosby, 5 Eastern, 4 Central on the John Fredericks Media Network.
The book needs to be thrown at these people.
My fellow Americans, I was this close, very close, to buying from the lumber yards. These are sick people. But I turned my head at the last second, and I saw a big, beautiful ad for D.T. McCall's. These are highly respected people. If I had not turned my head at the last second, I would have been ripped off at some lumber yard for $200 in hidden charges, and D.T. McCall & Sons are never going to do that. They'd never do that to you. These are great people. I've known them for a long time. They have great deals, and I just have to say, nobody knows deals like I do. D.T. McCall & Sons has locations in Lebanon, Carthage, Lafayette, Cookeville, and Franklin, and they have been family-owned in Middle Tennessee for over 100 years. These are tremendous people. D.T. McCall & Sons. Check out one of their stores today.
Impersonator not endorsed by Donald Trump.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Well, the performative hearings in the House continued yesterday in the U.S. House of Representatives. These are all so predictable. The Democrats, say, when did you stop beating your wife or your husband or whoever you were beating? And, the Republicans... the Trump administration officials who show up basically take it a little bit and then just push back. Well, Pam Bondi yesterday began by pushing back against these because she knew what was coming. And so Attorney General Pam Bondi, she got a dialogue with this guy, Jamie Raskin, who is a leftist from Maryland. He again, went to Harvard Law School, hasn't really practiced law in a long time. I don't think he has got a current law license. I think he's inactive. He taught constitutional law for like 20 years. I think it was at American University. And he is pompous, self-righteous, and wrong. Well, he tried to go after Pam Bondi. It did not go well for him. Let's hear this. Clip 10, rather.
You even know who Chase Mulligan is? You're so obsessed with you don't. Do
I'm
you?
going to teach you the rules again. You're the Attorney General of the United States. We have rules here.
You're obsessed with him.
You're the Attorney General of the United States.
You're obsessed with Donald Trump. You have Trump derangement syndrome.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like my time restored.
I'd like my time restored. In your district. In your district, and you don't even know about it, about keeping children safe from online predators.
Okay, so that was one of the clips. She went back. He said, should you resign? And she said, what do you know? You're not even a lawyer anymore, you bum. Okay, so that was the first element to it. Then this leftist from California, Ted Lieu, tried to take her on. And let's hear that in clip number 5.
Because I believe you just lied under oath. There is ample evidence in the Epstein file.
Don't you ever accuse me of a crime.
I believe you just lied under oath, and this is all on videotape. You said there's no evidence of a crime. I'm showing you. Here is a witness statement who called into the FBI's Threat Operations Center. He drove Donald Trump around in a limo. He overheard what Donald Trump said to Jeffrey on his cell phone. He was so angry, he was going to stop the limo and hurt Donald Trump. and he met a girl who said she was raped by Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein. She later had her head blown off, and officers at the scene said that could not have been suicide. No one at the Department of Justice interviewed this witness. You need to interview this witness immediately. Epstein should rot in hell, so should the men who patronized his operation. And as we sit here today, there are over 1,000 sex trafficking victims, and you have not held a single man accountable. Shame on you. If you had any decency, you would resign right after this hearing concludes.
The gentleman has expired.
May I respond?
Yeah, I don't know how you respond. No one can.
I did not ask a question, Ms.
He
You're allowed to.
I did not ask a question.
Crime in California. He does not want to talk about
I did not ask a
crime
question.
in his state.
She can't just add lip stuff. I did not ask a question.
Meeting will be in order. The gentleman has yielded back his time. I think our next witness will be more than happy to let the Attorney General
Madam
respond.
Attorney General, would you like?
Yeah, I mean, what's this Ted Lieu doing? He's making up stuff, and I mean, you can't do business with people that are that crazy. You just can't. Now, I mean, if you look at it right now, there's 219 Republicans, 214 Democrats in the House. Every single one of the Democrats is an insane leftist. Every single one of them in the House. There's only one nationally elected Democrat who's not insane, and that's John Fetterman, the senator from Pennsylvania. Now, this is interesting. Brandon Gill, very good. He's a state rep, a U.S. rep from Texas. He's a guy that's got that little, he's a young guy. He's the son-in-law of Dinesh D'Souza. Went to Dartmouth. Knows what he's doing. Here he is, actually, with an interesting dialogue that's helpful with Pam Bondi yesterday. Let's play that clip one.
Series of questions for you that we can get through pretty quickly, I think. Can you tell me, is it true that the Biden-Harris DOJ raided President Trump's home?
They did.
Did the Biden-Harris DOJ allow Jack Smith to spy on over a dozen Republican members of Congress?
Absolutely.
Did the Biden-Harris DOJ seize the phone of a sitting Republican congressman?
Yes.
Did the Biden-Harris DOJ and Jack Smith pay at least $20,000 to confidential human sources to provide information on President Trump?
At least.
At least. Did the Biden-Harris DOJ and FBI fail to apprehend the suspect who placed pipe bombs near the Capitol ahead of January 6th?
Yes.
Did the Biden-Harris DOJ target parents as domestic terrorists?
Absolutely.
Did the Biden-Harris DOJ target pro-life Catholics, going so far as to interview a priest and a choir director?
Yes.
Did the Biden-Harris DOJ send FBI SWAT teams to arrest pro-life advocates with no criminal histories?
Yes.
Did the Biden-Harris DOJ use the FACE Act to target pro-life advocates while it allowed anti-life agitators to vandalize, destroy, and firebomb pregnancy resource centers and churches?
Multiple times, I believe.
Multiple times. Did the Biden-Harris DOJ ever determine who leaked the Dobbs decision?
I can't discuss that. No, under Biden-Harris.
Got it.
No.
Did the Biden-Harris DOJ and FBI target whistleblowers for revealing waste, fraud, and abuse within the department to Congress?
Not to my knowledge.
Did the Biden-Harris DOJ refuse to say whether it coordinated with Alvin Bragg, Fani Willis, and Letitia James in their lawfare against President Trump?
They refused.
Did the Biden-Harris DOJ slow-walk the criminal investigation and prosecution of Hunter Biden?
That's an understatement, in my opinion.
Yep. Did the Biden-Harris DOJ determine who brought cocaine into the Biden White House?
They did not.
They did not. Did the Biden-Harris DOJ cover up the extent?
Well, as far as we know, they did not.
Right, that's right. Did the Biden-Harris DOJ cover up the extent of the Russia collusion hoax?
Absolutely, in my opinion, yes.
Did the Biden-Harris DOJ seek leniency from a federal court for an IRS contractor who leaked sensitive tax information on over 7,600 Americans, including President Trump?
Yes.
Did the Biden-Harris DOJ sue Texas because the state wanted to secure its own southern border?
Yes.
And finally, did the Biden-Harris DOJ attack SpaceX for hiring too many Americans?
I believe they did.
Yep.
Unbelievable.
It is unbelievable, and I appreciate that a lot of this is being cleaned up under your leadership. So thank you for returning the DOJ back to its core focus, which is on the rule of law. And I think that we see the results of that. I've got a few more similar questions for you. How have, over the past year since President Trump has been in office, how have murders trended in the United States?
Since President Trump has been in office, the murder rate has dropped to a historic 20% drop.
So that is Republican Congressman from Texas. I think he's like 32 years old, Brandon Gill. Now, if you want to look at how you should handle testimony of a witness, Brandon Gill is the way to go. And I want to just comment a little bit about this because that was Brandon Gill with a Trump administration witness. And in essence, just going for yes, no, but laying out the case quite clearly that the Biden-Harris Department of Justice was corrupt. And the thing about Brandon Gill, and this is the thing to really pay attention to, is when he asks a question, he just moves forward. If you see him interviewing a leftist witness, what will happen is he'll ask a question. The leftist witness will try to dissemble or dissuade him, ask him another question. He pays no attention. He just goes on. That is the model for a success in terms of communication and messaging. Speaking of models of success, our very favorite quipster in the United States is from Louisiana, Senator John Kennedy. As Senator John Kennedy, by the way, there are two others pretenders to the throne, or contenders, not pretenders, contenders for the best political quipsters out there. Tim Burchett, who a Tennessean who represents the 2nd congressional district here in Tennessee, and State Senator Brent Taylor from Memphis. They are very good. But here is John Kennedy Senator John Kennedy of Louisiana, talking about what those hearings on illegal aliens were like in the House of Representatives.
So just your response to what we saw from MacGyver and some of the others in the room, but particularly her.
Well, I watched some of the hearing yesterday. It reminded me of the game room in a mental hospital. This is not complicated. Illegal immigration is illegal. If no one is above the law, then how come people in our country illegally are? They're not. I support enforcing our immigration laws. I think most Americans do. Now, how you enforce those laws matters. They have to be enforced in accordance with equal protection, Harris, due process, and the reasonable suspicion standards set forth in Terry v. Ohio, a Supreme Court case. Now, you have the right to protest. I've seen some of the protesters. I know some of them are deeply weird. Some of them give off this, I don't know, I've got a freezer full of body parts in my basement vibe. But that's not against the law. You can be deeply weird in America. You can protest. What you can't do is protest violently. That, too, is against the law. And if you protest violently and act like a butthead and try to interfere with a cop, it's not going to end well. Even your Cocker Spaniel knows that.
Yeah, even. By the way, for those of you, I suppose you could say we've had reasonable suspicion bingo here on the show today. That's the second time that we mentioned the Terry v. Ohio Supreme Court case that said you can be detained for a short period of time if the officer has a reasonable suspicion that you're violating the law. That's the standard for picking up this Carlos fellow in Arizona, detaining him for a couple hours. And that's a standard also for picking up somebody who's suspected of violating immigration law. Hey, when we come back, a little twist on the SAVE Act I'm Michael Patrick Leahy.
Hey folks, Al Green here for SatPhone. When you're on the go, you want to know you're connected. If it's a family vacation or an off-the-grid escape to a remote destination, having reliable communication helps you feel safe and secure. You can't afford to find yourself in a dead zone. That's why you need SatPhone. SatPhones are reliable, durable, and give you global coverage. If you can get outside, you can get in touch. It's that simple. Make calls from your SatPhone to any regular cell phone in the United States. The phones are $1,500 value, but you can get yours free. Just sign up for a 15-month plan, $94.95 a month. Get 150 minutes monthly that roll to the next month. Go 3 months without using them, that's fine. Yes, 3 months, 450 minutes, all yours. Visit SAT123.com or call 855-980-5830. SAT123.com, 855-980-5830. Get surety and security with your SatPhone. Call now.
For years, the Europeans have underestimated President Trump time after time. But at every turn, he's been right. On energy, on NATO, on foreign free riding. It's time they pay up. That's why he's cracking down on foreign countries that don't pay their fair share for American medicines. Renegotiating trade deals for the prescription drugs we invent. President Trump is ending the foreign freeloading, making Europe pay their fair share.
Paid for by Americans for Limited Government.
Lifestyles Unlimited is a real estate education group that gives you the roadmap and resources to start building income through real estate. You'll learn practical strategies for using investment properties to create extra income and make informed decisions, one step at a time. Join today for just $297. That's a 60% savings off the regular price of our real estate education program. Text radio to 88007. That's RADIO to 88007. Presented by Lifestyles Unlimited.
They got a bill going up to allow casino gambling on your phone, not regulated.
They call it iGaming, and it's bad.
You put $10 in, it's gone. This is insane beyond belief.
Leads to loss of jobs, increased gambling addiction, putting families at risk.
How do you regulate it? How does the state tax it? Is it sponsored by the casinos?
Oh, this is another company that wants casino gambling on your phone in Virginia. Like my head is exploding.
Call 804-698-7400. Tell your senator vote no to iGaming.
I have no idea why Mamie Locke would introduce such a horrible bill.
This thing is probably going to pass if we don't stop it. Like my head is exploding.
Call 804-698-7400. Tell your senator vote no to iGaming. It's bad. Message paid for by the National Association Against iGaming.
Hey there, it's Lenny McGill, founder and CEO of GlockStore.com. For over 30 years, I've supported our Second Amendment rights with GlockStore.com, the world's #1 source for Glock handguns, parts, and accessories. I also support accurate, unbiased journalism like The Michael Patrick Leahy Show. His team broke the Kilmar Abrego Garcia traffic stop and was the first to obtain that video. Independent journalism at its finest. Visit us at GlockStore.com, listen to Michael Patrick Leahy, and make America great again.
This is State Senator Mark Pody. Government is limited to what it is supposed to do. One of the things that is critical that we're supposed to be working on is transportation. Here in Middle Tennessee, our roads need more help. As your state senator, we are focused on getting more money reoccurring without a new tax increase for our roads here in Tennessee. This is State Senator Mark Pody.
Paid for by Campaign for Mark Pody, Christina Hibden, Treasurer.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Welcome back. Well, common sense strikes again. And what's interesting about that is the Democrats don't have any common sense, and the Republicans do have common sense. We're talking very specifically about something called the SAVE Act. In other words, it requires voter ID. You know, you can't get into any Democrat event unless you show your ID. But in many states, you can vote and you don't have to show any ID. You know, the classic example is in Minnesota, where if somebody vouches for you, you can vote. You can be a foreign national. If somebody vouches for you, you can vote. And as a result, you've got all this takeover of these blue states by far left activists. Congressman Tim Burchett, one of the top 3 quipsters in the political environment today, the other two being Senator John Kennedy from Louisiana and State Senator Brent Taylor from Memphis. He had a few words to say about the SAVE Act. Clip 6. Let's play that.
Now, look, I'm not a drinker. Everybody knows that. But I know if I go to Weigel's in Knoxville, Tennessee, down on the corner of Emory Road and Tazewell Pike, and if I go in there to buy a 6-pack or a can of Skull or a scratch-off, dadgummit, I gotta produce an ID. When you purchase a firearm, when you board a plane, when you open a bank account, if I put $100 in the bank and then right then and ask for 20 of it back, guess what? I gotta show a dadgum ID. Why can't you vote for an elected official without one, Mr. Speaker? This legislation codifies President Trump's executive action to secure our voter registration process, which has been a key platform of President Trump this term. Democrats are lying, Mr. Speaker, saying this bill prevents minorities from registering to vote. It protects their vote. It protects every American citizen's vote. And it disgusts me, and frankly, I find it racist to assume that minorities cannot obtain an ID. We need to have the guts to stand up and protect our dadgum elections, Mr. Speaker, and that means we need to pass the Save America Act. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I reserve.
Okay, so actually now we talk about key phrases. I think the 2 favorite words of Congressman Burchett are dadgum and guts, right? That's a dadgum good speech there by Congressman Burchett. We love listening to him. The other person who was commenting on the SAVE Act, who is really, really good, Scott Jennings. And Scott Jennings was on CNN. He's the only reason why people watch CNN, because they hire these leftists to be, in essence, the phony straight men, and he just strafes them rhetorically. Here he is talking with, what is it, Audrey Phillips? Is she the new Joy Reid? I think maybe she is. Anyways, clip 9. Clip 9.
Before, by the way. It's not, it actually, there's an argument to be made that red state voters, women, poor white voters could be just as...
I know, you think they're dumb too, don't you?
Young
I mean,
voters.
that's the thing.
Nobody
I hear these arguments. I've heard Democrats all week long.
No, please don't. No, you listen.
There's a deflection from talking about Donald Trump's racism.
I'm actually
right there.
You should be thinking about your constituents or your
Yeah, I think they're smart enough to figure out how to register to vote, Abby.
Hold on. Most Americans don't have a passport. Many Americans don't have access to their birth certificate. Many women, a majority of women who change their names for marriage have to provide additional proof that they've changed their legal names in order to register to vote.
I have heard Democrats
Scott,
make these same arguments.
why don't you actually respond to the substance of what I'm saying?
I am, and the
as
substance
opposed
is
to
this.
making this about something that it's not.
You're saying,
it's not just about voter ID.
married
It's
women,
also about
black
who has
voters,
access
and rural people are too stupid to figure out how to register to vote.
No, that's not.
That is not what
Democrats have been making this argument all week. It's crazy.
That is not what she said.
Okay, so I can't bear that Abby Phillips kind of arrogant, condescending, and not even let Scott Jennings get in. But he makes his points. Now I have to play this. So now the SAVE Act is going to go into the Senate. We'll see if the Senate Majority Leader John Thune actually does the things necessary to get it passed. It's not looking so hot, but a little comic relief before we go to the break, and then in the next hour, we'll hear from Senator Marsha Blackburn about how the Verizon executives basically took her phone records without her knowledge and gave them to a phony prosecutor. But first, as a parting element for this hour of the program, things that you don't want to hear, but we're gonna play this. Liberal white women. What do old liberal white women do? To pretend to make a point, but actually show how ridiculous they are. What do? They sing. For your listening displeasure, we have that right now.
Alone, hear us, I swear unto you, and we know what we're gonna do. We are free and unafraid, and we'll stop your racist race. Yes, we are free and unafraid, and we'll stop your racist race.
These are all they're all wearing the same purple outfits. I don't know why the purple outfit. They all have gray hair. They're all a tad overweight, but they're very self-righteous, and they can't carry a tune. Other than that, they're great. When we come back, we'll hear from Senator Marsha Blackburn and Aaron Gulbison of the Tennessee Conservative Coalition. Back after this.
The Truth with John Gordon.
A strong argument can be made that we need a certain number of illegal immigrants to work menial and in some cases dangerous jobs.
Get all the truth you can handle and more.
Immigrants seem willing to do those jobs. American workers do not.
What?
I'm sorry, I just call them like I see them, folks.
Saturday, noon Eastern, 11 Central, on the stations of the John Fredericks Media Network.
I tell you the truth as best I know it.
Seamlessly as you go about your lives with exceptional nationwide coverage that uses the same towers the main carriers use. Patriot Mobile donates a portion of every dollar earned to causes you care about, to organizations that fight for religious freedom, First and Second Amendments, sanctity of life, and the needs of veterans and first responders. Patriot Mobile has plans to fit any budget, along with great discounts for our veterans and first responder heroes, as well as multi-line users. Switching is easy. Just go to patriotmobile.com/Godzilla or call their U.S.-based customer service team, 972-PATRIOT. That's 972-728-7468. Use offer code Godzilla for free activation.
John Fredericks loves his radio and TV audience, but did you know how to follow the Godzilla of Truth wherever you go? Download the John Fredericks Radio Show app to listen live nationwide. For the daily chit-chat, Trucking the Truth, download the Getter app and join the morning fun on Getter Live from 6 to 10 a.m. Follow John Fredericks on Getter, Truth Social, or Twitter at JF Radio Show.
WJFN, Goochland, Bonaire, Chester, 100.5, 107.7, 92.7 FM, AM 820, and WJFB, Portsmouth, AM 16.
Breaking news at Town Hall. I'm Bob Agnew in Washington. The Trump administration is ending its immigration enforcement surge in Minnesota. The immigration crackdown that prompted protests and led to the shooting deaths of 2 people by federal agents in Minneapolis is coming to an end.
I have proposed, and President Trump has concurred, that this surge operation conclude.
Border Czar Tom Homan said Minnesota is now less of a sanctuary state for criminals because of the ICE operation.
We've had great success with this operation, and we're leaving Minnesota safer.
Homan said the immigration sweeps resulted in the arrest of more than 4,000 people. Greg Clugston, Washington. Anti-drone laser led to some confusion this week in the skies above El Paso, Texas.
The Pentagon allowed Customs and Border Protection to use an anti-drone laser earlier this week, and that's what led the Federal Aviation Administration to suddenly close the airspace over El Paso, Texas. One source said the laser was deployed without coordinating with the FAA, which closed the airspace to ensure commercial air safety.
That is Ben Thomas reporting. The Trump administration said the closure stemmed from the FAA and Pentagon working to halt an incursion by Mexican cartel drones. A star of U.S. skiing has had yet another surgery following her stunning Olympic crash.
Lindsey Vonn says she had a successful 3rd surgery on her broken left leg following her downhill crash at the Olympics. Vonn posted an update on Instagram that included photos of her giving a thumbs up sign in her hospital bed with a metal frame attached to her leg. The 41-year-old Vonn crashed a few seconds into her race Sunday and was airlifted off the course by helicopter. She said late Monday she had suffered a complex tibia fracture that would require multiple surgeries to fix. I'm Gethin Coolbaugh.
On Wall Street right now, the Dow is off by 511 points. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm, and Chuck McDowell, definitely not an attorney. This is Chuck. Do you feel stupid for buying a timeshare? own. It's not your fault. You were most likely told you could rent it, and it was a great financial investment. And the deal was available today only. If this happened to you, contact your resort or Wesley Financial Group for help today.
Call Wesley now for your free exit information kit. 800-242-3131. 800-242-3131.
My name is Whitney Allen, and I'm a widow. After my husband died, the last thing I wanted to think about was money. Ethos made it affordable to get life insurance. Signing up was fast and 100% online. I knew that I could pay our mortgage and have food in the fridge. I could focus on my kids. No one ever tells you how much you're going to depend on that policy. I am so grateful we had coverage.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/save. That's ethos.com/save. Paid spokesperson. Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
Here's Rich Thomason now with the Midday Wall Street Business Report.
The number of Americans signing up for unemployment fell to 227,000 last week, down 5,000 from the previous week and in line with what analysts had been expecting. That comes on the heels of the Labor Department reporting that U.S. employers grew their payrolls by 130,000 jobs last month. That was more jobs than economists were forecasting. McDonald's shares settled less than 1% higher, recovering some of the immediate decline following yesterday's earnings report. Shares of Rollins, the pest control company behind Orkin, tumbled 13% after it missed Wall Street's fourth quarter sales and profit targets. Precious metals prices have edged a bit lower. The price of gold fell less than 1%, while silver retreated 1.5%. I'm Rich Thomason.
You'll find breaking news and analysis at townhall.com. It was 6 months ago an explosion at the U.S. Steel Clairton Coke Works killed 2 people. Now a new mayor in the city is trying to raise hopes amid the sustained departure of the industry and a lot of long, lingering problems.
Residents like Carla Beardowens are sick. Her granddaughter has asthma.
It's hard for her to breathe and stuff.
Dr. Deborah Gentile.
22.4% of those children had physician-diagnosed asthma. And that's double to triple what we expected to see.
Residents have concerns over air quality. Some are optimistic now that Japan's Nippon Steel bought U.S. Steel and is pledging $11 billion in upgrades.
That is Julie Walker reporting. Scientists testing a new way to fight heart disease. Gene editing approaches being developed by 2 companies show hints that switching off certain genes could dramatically lower artery clogging cholesterol. You'll find more on these stories at townhall.com. From Washington, I'm Bob.
It's the Michael Patrick Leahy Show, broadcasting live from downtown Nashville. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
We are joined on our newsmaker line by our good friend for many years, United States Senator from the state of Tennessee, Marsha Blackburn. Good morning, Senator Blackburn.
And good morning to you.
Is it true, Senator Blackburn, that the CEO of Verizon is so afraid of you that he refused to show up for the hearings when you asked questions about their bad behavior?
I think that the CEOs of these companies did not want to come before us, so they sent their general counsels, which, you know, that's okay. We held our hearing. It was the first of the hearings dealing with the Arctic frost issue and Jack Smith and weaponizing the DOJ and the FBI against President Trump, against members of Congress, and against 430 groups and individuals. And it was all aimed at stopping President Trump from winning re-election. And what we were able to do is get some answers that help define why these companies turned over cell phone records. We don't want this to ever happen to an American citizen again. And the amount of spying and surveillance that they did is still unknown to us. So through our series of hearings we're doing at Senate Judiciary Committee, we'll get to those answers. And I chaired the first of these hearings dealing with the phone companies. And you know, Michael, the thing that is of concern, we know, and they've admitted that they got what is called tolling data. And they say that's not that big a deal. because it is every phone call you made, where you physically were standing when you made or received a phone call, and the length of time that you spent in that conversation to that number. And we think that also what we are going after is finding out if they also got content of those phone calls or text messages or emails or financial data. We know that from some of the groups like Turning Point USA and Citizens United, good, solid conservative groups, they went after their financial data.
So just to refresh everybody's memory about this, the now disgraced so-called special prosecutor, Jack Smith, who was not really a special prosecutor, subpoenaed Verizon for your phone records, your told phone records.
That's right.
And then Verizon got this warrant to release this, and they looked at it and said, oh, this is a good idea. And they also got an order from a judge not to tell you about it.
That's correct. What they did, they got the subpoena from Judge Boasberg, and on top of the subpoena, Judge Boasberg had laid a non-disclosure order, and therefore they were not allowed, Verizon was not allowed to inform me that Jack Smith had requested these records. Well, there are several problems with this. First of all, Jack Smith was never confirmed by the Senate. Biden just appointed him. So there's the improper placement of a private citizen into this type role without a Senate confirmation. Second, it is a violation of the speech and debate clause for members of Congress while they are conducting the business of the people. And even though Jack Smith was warned by the DOJ legal department that was a problem, an infringement of the speech and debate clause, he went ahead anyway and said, well, they'll never know because I'll have Judge Boasberg slap a non-disclosure on top of it, which means they will never be able to be informed about this. And it was also a violation of the Stored Communications Act, as well as a violation of the right to privacy. So when we started getting whistleblowers about what they had actually done, then that's when all this started coming together. And Senator Grassley chairs the Senate Judiciary Committee, and the whistleblowers started coming to him saying, you know, this is not only unethical, this is illegal.
Did the general counsel, when you asked him about that, say, oh, we got this, but we decided not to comply, just like other vendors? I think Ted Cruz's carrier didn't comply. Did you ask him, hey, you know the law, why did you comply with this illegal request?
Yeah, you know, we did. And AT&T had turned over information on Chip Roy and on Kevin McCarthy. And then they got the subpoena with the non-disclosure on Ted Cruz. And at that point, somebody in the legal department said, hey, this is out of the ordinary. So they contacted Jack Smith to say this was a violation of speech and debate, and they never came back to him. Now, Verizon, my carrier, he said, well, we didn't have the proper processes in place to catch this.
That's not credible to me at all.
It's not at all. And Michael, you know, one of the things I asked them was, have any of you fired anybody, whether it was T-Mobile, Verizon, AT&T, have you fired anybody that violated federal law? And all of them said no.
Yeah, this is crazy.
It's crazy.
Speaking of crazy, your least favorite, my least favorite Supreme Court justice, who in the hearing that you had, and when you asked her to define what a woman was, she couldn't give you an answer because she's not a biologist. She decided it would be a good idea to go to the Grammy Awards, where she knew there would be a lot of criticism of the Trump administration, protests about ICE, and there were. And when Bad Bunny got up and said, ICE out, I think the camera shifted to her, and she was applauding it. You sent a letter to Supreme Court Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, John Roberts, and said, hey, this is a problem. She shouldn't be doing that. It violates the Code of Judicial Conduct. Have you heard back from the Chief Justice, and what do you expect will happen?
I have not heard back, and I hear that the Justice Jackson went on The View to kind of try to set the record straight, and so Whoopi Goldberg decided I was out here snowflaking, as she said. But, you know, when you are a justice of the Supreme Court, you are required to stay neutral. You can go to all the public events that you want to go to, but you do not sit there and applaud anti-ICE, anti-U.S. government sentiments. You can sit there. She was nominated. She could go. She could sit in the audience, but she cannot show what, you know, she can't sit there and applaud these type statements, because that affects her impartiality and the perception of that impartiality as issues come before her.
Don't you think she should recuse herself from any immigration case?
Absolutely, 100% she should.
If she doesn't, public confidence in the ruling will not be what it should be.
Oh, my goodness, you're exactly right. Because people are going to say, well, she was out there and she applauded Bad Bunny and she applauded Billie Eilish and these other performers, but you have to remain partial. And there again, go, but don't participate in the cheering and the applauding.
Well, we'll send her a copy of the Judicial Code of Conduct. That might help her in the future. Senator Blackburn, thanks so much for joining us today.
You got it. Take care. Bye.
All right. Up next, Aaron Goldberson. Back after this.
Hi folks, John Fredericks here for Freedom Alliance. Veterans are still struggling with the wounds of war. They came home with injuries that changed them forever. The flag-burning troublemakers in our streets remind me how fortunate we are to have patriots who served and fought, sacrificed, and never complained. We need to support them through organizations like the Freedom Alliance. It's Military Appreciation Month and time to support those who serve. Freedom Alliance is caring for combat veterans and military families. Combat veterans fought in the worst, most dangerous places on earth. Freedom Alliance takes them to nature's most relaxing locations so they can heal. Freedom Alliance gives injured troops mortgage-free homes, new cars, and all-terrain wheelchairs. For wounded vets, there's nothing like the stability of your own home, the reinsurance of a reliable vehicle, or the independence of a wheelchair that navigates snow, ice, beach, pasture, or most any terrain. Let's fight for those who fought for us. Go to freedomalliance.org/Godzilla and make a monthly gift that will improve the life of a military hero. That's freedomalliance.org/Godzilla. Make a contribution today.
If you're like me, most moms find it difficult to prioritize self-care. Hi, it's Colleen, Program Director at the John Fredericks Media Network. With the demands of programming 13 radio stations, it's easy to forget about the things I should do for myself daily. And that's why I started with our company's Women's Challenge with Native Path Collagen Peptides. It's affordable and convenient care in just 1 scoop a day. There are so many incredible health benefits like bone and joint support, metabolism booster, and hair, skin, and nail improvement. I like to take a moment each day to prioritize myself and indulge in the health-boosting benefits of Native Path Collagen Peptides. I love mixing it up with all the different smoothie recipes, too. Learn more about Native Path Collagen Peptides and read 7 important reasons why you should be taking collagen peptides at getnativepath.com/Godzilla. Prioritize your self-care with Native Path Collagen Peptides. Try it risk-free for as low as $21 today and get free shipping at getnativepath.com/Godzilla.
Target.com. Target.com is an online e-commerce tire retailer. We are here to serve the American public with the best possible customer service, the best pricing, and we make it extremely easy. We have many name brands and a lot of low-cost tires. The price is right, and it's easy. You go online to Target.com, TIREGET.com, Target.com. You go there, you put your zip code in, all the inventory displays right in front of you. You can call in for help if you want to. We'll help you get the tire that you need. But we will take the tires you buy and at no extra charge deliver them to the dealer right by your house where they will be installed at the market price. It's easy. The best price, the best service. Great people to deal with. Thank you for going to Target.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
And welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. We are joined in studio by the official guest host of the Michael Patrick Leahy Show, the one, the only executive director of the Tennessee Conservative Coalition, Aaron Gobinson.
How are you, sir?
I'm great. We're going to get to the Tennessee General Assembly, but I just have to throw this out to you. This is hilarious. We did a story yesterday at the Tennessee Star about the transgender boy became a woman in this little town in a remote community in British Columbia, Canada.
Yes.
Who went out and killed 9 people and then killed himself.
I thought all Canadians were transgender, so I wasn't very surprised by this. But yes, that was...
Our Canadian friends are going to go, but I put this out on X, a tweet.
Dang, I know 2 Canadian pro wrestlers. I'm going to see them tomorrow. Now I'm going to get grief for it. Anyway, yeah.
Here you go. We linked to the story, and this is what I said, and this is going to be surprising to you. I said, another tranny mass shooter at a high school, this time in a remote community in British Columbia, Canada. And then I linked to the story. Guess what X did? They put a note on it. Visibility limited. This post may violate X's rules against hateful conduct.
You know, that actually, I mean, speaking of the General Assembly, that happened with, there was, I forget exactly what they were discussing, but that happened with a post that, I believe you reported on it, when Leader Lamberth posted something. And several others in the General Assembly posted virtually the same thing, but they limited him. So, you know, I see posts like that from you, and I go, well, Michael's getting a little more like Aaron over the last several years. A little rambunctious.
Okay,
yes.
Apparently, so I sent this to Robbie Starbuck, who knows Elon.
Yes.
And I said, what's going on here? He said, yeah, it's tranny. You can't use the word tranny. So
can you do IE? Because you did it with a Y. I mean, how far do we need to drill into this here?
So,
this is a fun topic in the world.
I mean, it's truthful.
Yeah.
And okay, is it a slightly less respectful to call a transgender person a tranny? Well, a little bit, but who cares?
Is it though? I mean,
they're trannies.
I mean,
tranny.
Are you going to have to go old school with this and go, transsexual, transvestite from Transylvania, which is a Rocky Horror Picture Show reference?
I just thought it was interesting because, we talk about...
Jim Carrey was tranny before tranny was cool. Anyway.
Yeah, well, but I bring it up simply because you talk about the problem of free speech and the problem of freedom of the press, and X has been really terrific, actually, for the most part. But even at X, under Elon, you don't have full freedom of speech.
Oh, no. And then, Grok is...
Oh, Grok is lefty.
Is lefty, and it's very interesting. I mean, first of all, I made no bones about this. I know several politicians and their staffs, but several politicians that generate everything that they post on social media, even including some of their personal private text through ChatGPT. And I think those politicians are morons. And one day they may annoy me so much I'll just name names, but I'm not doing that today. So, but Grok is interesting in terms of a research standpoint when you want to save yourself a little bit of time. And I just refuse to use ChatGPT out of principle. But you'll go, hey, Grok, tell me everything about topic X, or tell me all the controversial statements made by politician X. And, it'll be, you'll look and you'll go, all right, okay, it's not controversial that they blasted Dr. Fauci.
Yeah, exactly.
Hair Fauci. It's, by the way, that should be a National Monument Day when he goes to the great beyond, for day of joyous celebration. But of natural causes, to be clear. So, or maybe a Chinese virus. But yeah, I see that all the dang time, and I'm like looking at it, I'm like, well, this isn't, it's so, it is a little scary if you think about it, how AI, because what does it draw from, right? When it draws from outside sources, and unfortunately, it may get something from the Tennessee Star in there, but it's drawing from NBC News and all this other stuff. So, the left stream media has an influence over Grok a bit.
Yeah, a bit. Well, you can be my personal Grok and tell me everything going on in the Tennessee General Assembly.
Well, I can't tell you everything, but
everything publicly available.
It's an interesting week because when you walk the halls, you run into the lobbyists and the legislators, and one floor is different than the other, and they're always what are you hearing today? And so
is it a gossipy place?
Politics is gossip. I mean, I hate to enlighten several of the shall we say faux religious people who go, I never gossip, but politics and gossip go hand in hand.
All they do is gossip.
The rest, those of us who've been doing.
What have you heard? What's the latest?
What have you heard? Who's mad at who today? Well, but yesterday was kind of like a fun day. I think it was the MTSU mascot was walking around the halls, and so when
it's a Blue Raider.
Yeah.
What is it? What does the MTSU Blue Raider mascot look like?
It's just a big, furry animal. In a mascot costume.
Okay.
And so it's so funny. You'll see. In this week you also had a group of liberal Methodists walking around, some of which had rainbow pins on. Then you get into the things that are probably boring as all get out, but then they're kind of interesting for the day. So, for example, the ophthalmologists are fighting with the optometrists. The ophthalmologists require a lot more.
Hold it. The ophthalmologists are fighting with the optometrists.
The fancy eye doctors are fighting with the less fancy eye doctors, basically. And so there's this is.
By the way, you get your glasses fixed at the optometrist.
Yes.
You got a surgery, you go to the ophthalmologist.
Exactly. And so there's legislation that's probably going to pass that's going on right now that the optometrists want, because it expands their ability to do business and do more procedures. The thing is the optometrists require, let's just say they have to do a procedure 10 times before they're certified on it. The ophthalmologists do them like 500 times in a year.
Mm-hmm.
So the ophthalmologists, and this is a microcosm of what goes on, but basically the ophthalmologists are making the argument that they're afraid if this law passes that they're going to have to clean up after the optometrist, and there may be some people going blind. But both lobbyist associations are fighting with each other. So that's a little extreme inside.
So there's a lot of, we talked about this before. If you think about it, if you're an elected state representative or state senator, this is a part-time gig.
Yeah.
You got a real job. And the lobbyists will present factual information to support a point of view by the people that hire them.
And
right?
I was going to say, it's usually, listen, if you're a lobbyist and you're lying to the legislators, they know this.
Really?
But part of some of the, especially the ones that are what I call the marble tower lobbyists, that are the expensive retainers and all that, their job is like an attorney. It's to advocate from, as Obi-Wan Kenobi said, a certain point of view.
Yeah.
So, if you're representing the optometrist, your goal in this case is to get, expand the customer base and make more money for your clients. If you're the ophthalmologist, your goal is, to communicate that your clients are worried that people might go blind. So, it's just a silly thing. It's not silly, actually, given
it's
what
the way
I just
it works.
said, but it's the way it works. And so, then there was another conversation ongoing this week with the superintendents and the teachers unions.
What are they doing?
Didn't like, and this is again kind of a minor thing, but they didn't like a law that was passed last year mandating a certain amount of minutes of recess. And so
really, why did they not like that?
Because they want. I mean, be perfectly honest with you, this would jive with everything I've said. I think superintendents and teachers unions are lazy and they don't care about their students.
But they're also pretty much aligned.
They are aligned.
Yeah.
And so, there was a bill going on there and it's still ongoing. But
how could anybody not want more recess for kids?
And a group of moms that I just refer to colloquially as the recess ladies, they were running around the General Assembly this week explaining how the kids need recess and
obvious
they
common
be
sense
on it. Because the other thing is quite frankly, I mean, the whole goal of it is, in this day and age of computer screens, you need a defined period of time to keep the kids away from the computer screen and also give them physical activity. Yeah. So that was like another minor behind the scenes.
How's that going to play out?
Oh, I think the recess moms are going to win.
They should.
You don't like ticking off moms in politics, and the two politically influential moms at the moment are the homeschool moms and then the recess moms, as they're called.
What are they? What's their formal name? It's not recess mom.
I don't know. We should just call this kind of the gossipy segment of the show. But yeah, so these are the things you pick up, and then you get phone calls and for me, there's very often it's like, hey, Aaron, what's your advice on this? And I will go, well, I get to give you unvarnished advice, as I always do, but on particular topics, because it's like, it's not my bailiwick, so here's what's going on here and there. There's the ongoing budget hearings that are, and I will tell you a story, but I will not tell you which committee it was in.
So hold on. When we come back, because this is really important, the budget. Everything comes down to the budget in Tennessee. When we come back, Aaron Gulbinson, official guest host of the program, will give us the unvarnished story about what's going on in the Tennessee General Assembly about the budget. Back after this.
EJ Haast here, founder of the Digital Footprint Management Agency and frequent guest on the Michael Patrick Leahy Show, here to tell you about GetFoundEverywhere.com. Customers are searching for your business everywhere: Google, Apple Maps, TikTok, and new AI platforms like ChatGPT and Gemini, which is a total disruptor. Traditional search engine optimization isn't dead, but it is on life support. Old tactics don't work anymore. So how can you make your business stand out? GetFoundEverywhere.com makes your business pop on over 50 search, map, review, and AI-driven platforms. With one easy dashboard, manage business profiles, social media accounts, direct messages, even texts and reviews. GetFoundEverywhere.com is affordable, boosts your visibility, and gets your business more customers. It's time to step up your game the easy way. Save time, save money, and get more customers with GetFoundEverywhere.com.
This is State Senator Mark Pody. Government is limited to what it is supposed to do. One of the things that is critical that we're supposed to be working on is transportation. Here in Middle Tennessee, our roads need more help. As your state senator, we are focused on getting more money reoccurring without a new tax increase for our roads here in Tennessee. This is State Senator Mark Pody.
Paid for by Campaign for Mark Pody, Christina Hibden, Treasurer.
I'm Lenny McGill, founder and CEO of Glockstore.com. For over 30 years, I've supported the Second Amendment rights of free men and women to protect themselves and their families with firearms. We offer the very best in both selection and prices on Glock handguns, custom Glocks, Glock magazines, and high-performance shooting accessories at Glockstore.com. We also have the finest retail showroom and our Shoot 270 shoot rooms right here in Nashville, Tennessee. easy. Come visit us at glockstore.com, and you'll be glad you did.
My fellow Americans, my good friends, I've known them for a long time. At DT McCall & Sons have the deal of a lifetime for you, and nobody knows deals like I do. That much I can tell you. Nobody knows deals like I do. The lumber yards, they can hit you with hidden charges for up to $200 extra. They'll charge you for cords and hoses and haul-offs. Your money goes all over the place and out of the state, and most importantly, out of your pockets. How do they get away with that? I don't know how they do that, but on day one, if you buy from McCall's, we are going to stop the hidden charges as soon as you buy it. DT McCall & Sons has locations in Lebanon, Carthage, Lafayette, Cookeville, and Franklin, and they have been family-owned in Middle Tennessee for over 100 years. Head to one of their stores today or check them out at dtmccalls.com. You're going to love it. Believe me.
Impersonator not endorsed by Donald Trump.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. It's always lively when we get the inside scoop from the official guest host of the Michael Patrick Leahy Show, the one, the only, Aaron Gulbinson, also executive director of the Tennessee Conservative Coalition. Okay, so the budget story. Here in Tennessee, when you talk about any legislation, the big problem is always the budget.
Yeah.
And the Finance Committee. I'm told that you have a juicy, behind-the-scenes budget story for us.
Well, I don't know how juicy it is, but I'll give you the personal tidbit, and then I'll give you the professional analysis of what's going on. The personal tidbit was I walked into a budget hearing the other day, and I was having fun. See, I enjoy spending time with most of the members of the General Assembly, and the ones that I don't, you hear about on the radio.
So let me just say, they're fun guys.
Yeah.
And gals.
Yeah.
They're fun people.
They're real. Most of them are real people.
They're real people. This is, of course, what I love about the state of Tennessee. Everybody in the state house, as an elected state rep or state senator, they have real jobs. And they only convene for 3 or 4 months a year. That keeps them grounded.
Listen, and at the end of the day, the people that view them as amorphous, evil creatures and call them rhinos and all that are just too stupid and lazy to go in the building and actually try to have a real conversation.
That's my point. If you have, it's very different talking to really any state legislator, even the ones on the left here. They are genuine. It's very different. It's not the guarded sort of political hackery that you see in California or New York.
And they can get burned this way, so it's very nice that they do this. But if you are a citizen of this great state and you walk into the building and you catch a member and you say, "This is what I'm wondering about," they will talk to you, and they will tell you actually what they're thinking. And, you can get a good view of it. These little bloggers out there just want to make their brand and shoot at them and all this other stuff. They don't do that sort of thing.
Yeah, that's the point.
I can have an issue where I disagree with somebody that I like, but I understand where they're coming from because I'm talking to them. Now, the other thing is generally speaking, if I really disagree with them, I'll look at them dead in the eye and go, "You're wrong, and I'm going to fight you on this." Now, I'm also not running around making up garbage things about them.
It's a very gentlemanly conflict when you do it that way.
Yeah, no, it's actually kind of funny. The best way to interact with the General Assembly is to do it from a manner of respect and collegiality. And then, so I do it that way. And then, everybody else I go burn to the ground when they cross me. But, it's like, it's kind of funny. If you talk to most members of the General Assembly, they'd be like, "Wait, some people think you're mean?" Yes, actually. I relish it. But no, so this is the funny part. So I go and sit at a budget hearing, and I have a few members that we have a little bit of fun. And then I texted one of them, and the budget hearing starts, and I go, "Oh my gosh, I don't hate myself this much." Get up and leave and go. Fortunately, I had another phone call that was more productive to make for me personally. But I was very happy when I was like, I got this person to actually laugh, because they all have maintained decorum during the
Sure.
hearings. But what's going on right now is, all the various agencies, all the various colleges, all the publicly funded institutions are going through a budget hearing process, and so they're presenting their asks for the year, and it's all public. Anybody can go. If you've got a car or a bus pass, you could figure out how to get to the General Assembly and find out exactly what's going on. This is why I always tell everybody, don't believe me, go find it for yourself. You'll see it. So they're going through it. And honestly, for the average person, it's kind of not even just for the average person. A lot of the nuts and bolts and the numbers are very boring, but they're going through it all. It's very, very transparent. And then towards the crescendo of the session, they will get to the point where everything has been out there, every ask has been made, and then they have to go through and decide what they're cutting, what they're keeping, what they're adding, and that sort of thing. And of course, one of the biggest priorities, as the governor said in the State of the State, is the large expansion of the school choice program. But you're funding TBI and law enforcement and providing additional money for, LEAs and all these different agencies.
LEA is a education
it's
school
a,
district.
Yeah,
basically.
it's a school district. Yeah.
So the overall budget is pretty big. The proposal is $57.9 billion.
Yeah.
That's a big budget. What a fiscal year starts, July 1st? I think it does.
Yes, it does, and that's where the most of the budget items happen. And then you have the governor presents his budget. You have a supplemental budget that happens at towards the end. There are things in the supplemental budget where maybe some sort of we need X more amount of dollars. It's decided for a government agency or a public-private partnership, that kind of thing. And by the way, I have to say a bee in my bonnet thing here. I'm really tired of hearing the phrase from so-called conservatives, corporate welfare, because corporate welfare is literally, actual corporate welfare is the government handing money to corporations and subsidizing them. That is a form of socialism. Tax credits is as Republican and conservative as the day is long. You're not. And at the end of the day, the people who pay the taxes and benefit from this are the consumers of the product, because every corporation under the sun has to make money. So anyway, that was actually a conversation I had with one of the state senators from East Tennessee the other day about some of the language that's used, and it's very interesting, what we call the horseshoe of politics, where some people on the far left and the far right use exactly the same language, and it's rather aggravating. And generally, when you hear corporate welfare at the national level, it's usually from Elizabeth Warren or Bernie Sanders or Ocasio-Cortez. Here in Tennessee, you have so-called conservatives, saying that we're against this, But so yeah, what eventually happens in the crescendo of the budget process is the leadership of both the House and the Senate get together. The chairman of the Finance Committee, the chairman of both the House and the Senate. The vice chairs, the committee, in the House, the committee sub chairs, they all get together in a room, and then they have about a 48 to 72 hour marathon period of where they go through everything and finalize everything that's going to pass, and that's generally when session ends. And they're always very cautious to spend money at the beginning of session, because they know that the end of session is when all that gets fully hashed out. So your best bet, if you want to have success as a citizen lobbyist or a regular lobbyist, or advocate, is to try to find as many bills as you can that don't cost anything, and you can come up with good ideas. For example, me and State Representative Jake McCalman and Senate Majority Leader Jack Johnson are working on legislation that would provide, as part of the family life curriculum, and this is something that Jake and I have been talking about for a long time. Basically, age appropriate, an addendum to the family life curriculum at the local level, and the locals would have control over it, on how to tell kids how basically not to get trafficked or molested. So.
Danger signs.
Age appropriate is very important, though, because there's certain things Difference between talking to a 15-year-old and a 5-year-old is
Big
a giant
difference.
gulf.
So,
and their parents are obviously involved.
Tell me this. We're several weeks now into this session of the General Assembly. It seems to be moving along pretty fast.
Yeah.
What's the overall vibe down there?
Everybody, I mean, you got the whole House and half the Senate up for re-election, so it's one of the common conversations is
who's primarying who?
Yeah, you got a primary.
You got a primary.
You
got a primary.
You want to start a conversation with any random legislator that you don't even know. You go, you got a primary this year? But you got some high-profile ones. Kip Capley's got the disgraced Cade Cothran, running against him. I think one other person.
So
pulled in that
let me
race.
just what district is that?
I don't remember the number off the top of my
West
head,
Tennessee
but it is
or
a
Southern
significant. It was a chunk. It is a chunk, a sub chunk of the 7th congressional district. So he's
Cade Cothran was convicted.
Yes.
And sentenced to prison.
Yes.
For several years.
Yes.
For his basically fraudulent activity.
Yes.
And then President Trump pardoned him.
Yeah, he didn't pardon him from being a dirty human being, though. He just said you're not going to jail. Let's be very clear here. I'm very close with the Trump administration, and I have no problem saying that out loud. But yeah.
But here's the thing. What is Cade Cothran thinking?
He's an egotist.
Yeah,
crazy man.
Yeah.
I mean, look at the text messages that were published in the press years ago. So, I mean,
Well, and I guess he doesn't know anything else.
There is a syndrome in politics. There are people, whether or not, and I've had this conversation with former statewide elected officials in other states in the past. There are people that consider themselves rightly or wrongly the sun, the moon, and the stars, and they feel like the planets revolve around them. In some cases, those are accurate. I think it's fair to say that President Trump, as the president, is the sun, the moon, and the stars, and the planets revolve around him, and he's probably going to miss that when he's no longer president. When you're Cade Cothran, it appears for me, and I don't know Cade at all, but it appears for me, based on everything I've seen, he's largely considered himself to be the sun, moon, and the stars, and the planets revolve around him, and he wants attention. So
yeah,
but you've got
not good.
So and then you've got there's some minor thing. I mean, I think Leader Lamberth has a minor primary opponent.
Mm-hmm.
What is he? Is he assistant whip now?
So
Mark Cochran has a minor.
Todd Warner, is he going to have a primary?
He's got Vince Cuevas running against him. Vince ran against him once before.
Lost
came in
like
third.
60-40 I think last time. Yeah.
He ran for SEC at some point in time.
But Todd Warner and Jody Barrett are kind of, I don't know exactly how you describe them. They're sort of Republicans who hate school vouchers, right?
Yeah, that's exactly what they are. They hate the president's platform on. By the way, I do remember the day when school voucher was not a dirty word, and I don't know why it became pejorative.
I mean,
but
basically, on the education side,
yeah, they
our
hate
our kids don't know how to read, write, do arithmetic. They don't understand the Constitution. It's got to be fixed.
Listen, the kindest way to put it is they have decided to be to have weird political alliances that are not actually conservative. Todd, of course, is generating a lot of fun with his little quarry that he has going on in his property.
So he's got some personal issues.
Well, there's that too, but this is by the way, this is
Yeah.
well documented, and this is not like innuendo.
But Todd has gotten elected the previous time when a lot of this stuff was out there.
So you know what? By the way, and this is 100% true. I'll give you total inside baseball here. Weirdest person in the General Assembly is Todd Warner for a variety of reasons, but here's one I can say on the air. Todd carries a video recording pen in his pocket.
So every conversation is recorded.
Every conversation is recorded, and those people who know that walk the other way. Because how weird is it when you know that's happening?
That is weird. That's
blew
kinda
up your
weird.
spot, Todd. I don't care.
It's all right. Well, look, we'll see. We'll see if he wins or not, and how the challenge goes. I suppose to have a couple of oddballs in the Tennessee General Assembly is kind of representative of a constitutional republic.
The kind way is it takes all time. It takes all kinds.
Hey, guess what? When we come back, news potpourri. Back after this.
Tom Carmichael, CEO of Soul Tea, a supplement to help you have a healthier heart and stronger cardiovascular system. At Soul Tea, we regularly get emails from our customers telling us how Soul Tea has helped them. Like this one from Kelly. Hello, I'm 58 years old and have had high cholesterol for years. I wanted to stay away from prescription drugs. My husband and I have been using Soul Tea for about 13 months. My results have been amazing. My cholesterol levels went from 291 to 129. I am so impressed with Soul Tea and want to thank you. Now, in my own case, my bad cholesterol dropped from 130 to 89, and that was 20 years ago. I'm 75 years old and I take 0 prescription drugs. To get a great deal on Soul Tea, please go to GodzillaHeart.com, and when you check out, use the code Godzilla to get our best deal, which is 50% off your first shipment and then 3 bottles for the price of 2 thereafter. You don't have to live with a broken heart.
Do you suffer from
Try
declining
Soul
bone
Tea
and
today.
joint health? Hi, it's Tina with the John Fredericks Media Network. And when I heard about our company's Women's Challenge, I jumped on the opportunity to test this amazing supplement that's already restoring my bone density, soothing my joint pain, and helping me regain lost mobility. I've experienced so many benefits in such a short time with Native Path Collagen Peptides because they support my bones and joints, boost my metabolism, and unleash the most radiant skin and hair since my 20s. In just 2 weeks, my knee stiffness is gone, and I'm already hitting the gym more aggressively. And I get so many compliments on my glowy skin and shiny hair. Native Path Collagen Peptides are so easy to take. They're tasteless, odorless, and mix great with my morning coffee. Read thousands of 5-star reviews at getnativepath.com/Godzilla. Level up your self-care with Native Path Collagen Peptides. Try it risk-free for as low as $21 today. And get free shipping at getnativepath.com/Godzilla.
In 2008, the amount of concentrated time people could spend on a task without becoming distracted was 12 seconds. 5 years later, it was only 8 seconds, 1 second less than a goldfish. If you're often distracted or have trouble recalling information, you're likely to fall behind in the demanding, fast-paced 21st century. In other words, brain performance is more critical now than ever. Boost your brain power with Healthy Cells Focus Plus Recall. Science-backed nootropics to help you sharpen focus, concentrate longer, enhance recall, improve mental speed, learn rapidly, and be more alert. It's a pill-free brain supplement made with maximum absorption ingestible gel technology, designed to feed your brain at the cellular level. Take it for a test drive. Go to healthycell.com and use code GODZILLA for 20% off your first order of Focus Plus Recall. That's healthycell.com, code GODZILLA for 20% off.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Well, Aaron Goldmanson, it's that time of day again. It's time for News Potpourri. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, News Potpourri. This is the portion of the program where we talk about those stories that are of note, don't necessarily merit a full segment, and may have a touch of
irony.
Well, here we go. Canada is about as lost as the United Kingdom is right now. And they just don't have any common sense up there, except in Alberta. By the way, if you live in Alberta and you want to either become independent or you want to join the United States, I think that'd be a great idea. The rest of Canada, they just don't have a clue. They're so woke, it's just crazy. And the latest is this story, very sad story, of an 18-year-old high school dropout, born a boy who transitioned to female several years ago, who, is crazy, was crazy, got a rifle, murdered 9 people in the little remote community in British Columbia. The murders included his mother. We'll get to his mother in a bit, but right now we've got a clip of how weaselly the Canadian police handled this. Let's play a clip right now.
We're not hiding it. In fact, you're the first media to ask the question. I will say this. We identified the suspect as they chose to be identified in public and in social media. I can say that Jesse was born as a biological male who approximately, the information that I have, approximately 6 years ago began to transition to female and identified as female, both socially and
So they're so stupid up there that they said, and listen to it, my Canadian friends, if you buy this stuff, you're just stupid. And I say that. My dad was born in Canada. I spent a lot of time in Canada. I lived in Canada for a year or so in Toronto when I ran a company there.
Did you ever go to the Hockey Hall of Fame?
But
that is the greatest export from Canada is hockey, and then the rest.
The rest is not so hot. But this story is just beyond bizarre because his mother, he killed his mother. He killed his mother, and the mother was a big supporter of the trans community. She said something just after the assassination of Charlie Kirk, and basically said, as a conservative-leaning libertarian who lives in the North and loves living in a small town, I hope the hate I see online is just bored old people and not true hatred. She put a little sign, good people don't spend their time harassing marginalized communities. And then she went on to say, I know I can't control everything or shield my kids from everything, but please, for the love of blank, can you get your blank together so we don't have to bring our kids up in a world full of hatred? Do you have any idea how many kids are killing themselves over this kind of hate? Please stop the BS. I mean,
they're killing themselves because of their mental illness and people that are pushing the mental illness further on them. And this is the sick thing, but that's the sad part of wokeism. Yeah. So, did you watch the Super Bowl or the counter programming by TPUSA?
It was the worst. The actual game itself was the worst Super Bowl I've ever watched. It was awful. I know that the Seattle defense was great. The runner, Ken Walker III, was great, but everything else was bad.
Yep.
It was just not a good game. And the halftime, oh my goodness,
I have
Bad Bunny.
I have a recommendation for the NFL. So, and this is a mass appeal act for the next halftime show, and it's not a country act. If you I don't know if you saw this several months ago, but during one of his concerts, Mr. 305 Pitbull, of course, Miami has become a kind of mostly a Republican stronghold, and that's where he's from, said if you don't like America, you can get, out in a certain way. So they should have Pitbull. And then maybe the side act is 50 Cent if we're going all out on this. I think that would have more mass appeal. But no, I hate performative stuff. So, I mean, I've never really liked the halftime show. I did like when the Rolling Stones did it years ago, and I did in Aerosmith at one point in time. But, now I'm dating myself. But, it's, no, I didn't understand it because also, by the way, Roger Goodell is also on the President's Council on Physical Fitness.
Okay.
I'm kind of hoping that ends at some point because he needs to get chastised.
Yeah. I think Trump's kind of trying to build a bridge there, but it's a bridge to nowhere when he goes to Roger Goodell's understanding of American psyche.
Well, here's what I don't understand, and this is just my venting time. The footballs is red-blooded American males and the women who love them that tolerate watching the games. Mm-hmm. That is what the football fan is, right? So why are you catering to woke garbage? I mean, it's just rather silly. By the way, as I get another gaslighting in America thing. Of course, Tom Homan's announced that the surge of ICE in Minnesota is, they're tapering it off.
Right.
But, Drudge Report has the headline being ICE is leaving Minnesota.
Not true.
No, just the massive public face of it is.
Yeah, they're still going to be there, but not at the level they've been. But I think that's, Homan has handled that very well, I think.
Tom is great.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed having dinner with him last year. So
we have a interesting story just broke. Former Prince Andrew implicated in basically bad behavior with young girls in Jeffrey Epstein. The Queen Elizabeth, loaned Prince Andrew $15 million to pay off Virginia Giuffre.
Oofa.
It's a sad story. If you assume that a third of that went to her lawyers,
yeah,
she still got $10 million, but she was never able to get past it, and she, ended up committing suicide. Moved to Australia, committed suicide 6 months ago. Just couldn't get over it, and that's the real cost of these things. So, and on that rather unhappy note,
I had no one-liner for you to end that one.
I know
but,
you can't. Aaron, thanks so much for joining us today. Really appreciate it.
Fun as always.
Have fun at the Tennessee General Assembly. Up next, Rob Carson. I'll be back tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Central Time. I hope you have a great day. The website, TennesseeStar.com. I'm Michael Patrick Leahy.
This is State Senator Mark Pody. Government is limited to what it is supposed to do. One of the things that is critical that we're supposed to be working on is transportation. Here in Middle Tennessee, our roads need more help. As your state senator, we are focused on getting more money reoccurring without a new tax increase for our roads here in Tennessee. This is State Senator Mark Pody.
Paid for by Campaign for Mark Pody, Christina Hibden, Treasurer.
Hey there, it's Lenny McGill, founder and CEO of GlockStore.com. For over 30 years, I've supported our Second Amendment rights with GlockStore.com, the world's #1 source for Glock handguns, parts, and accessories. I also support accurate, unbiased journalism like The Michael Patrick Leahy Show. His team broke the Kilmar Abrego Garcia traffic stop and was the first to obtain that video. Independent journalism at its finest. Visit us at GlockStore.com. Listen to Michael Patrick Leahy and make America great again.
FlatFeeNashville.com is a full-service real estate brokerage that charges homeowners a upfront flat fee of $999 to completely list, market, and sell your home. We are all about saving consumers money, saving that equity. Nobody should hire an agent and feel like when that agent walks in the door, that agent is more concerned about the down payment on their next Mercedes purchase versus saving the equity that those homeowners have worked hard for. I've spent my entire career in ensuring that the equity that people save and they put into their monthly mortgage every single month, as much of that as we possibly can goes back to them when they go to list and sell that home. The idea is to give homeowners the ability to really create generational wealth.
FlatFeeNashville.com, FlatFeeNashville.com.